We are now live. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in tonight to tonight's technical problem broadcast. That was not my phone. My name is Dexter, in case you didn't already know, and we have another guest tonight. But first, I've already introduced myself. So, Albert, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Albert of Click Clack Piao, basically anything to do with pump paintball, and I'm sorry that was my phone telling me that this was starting.
Right, thank you very much. And Rich, if you'd like to do the honours of yourself.
Hi, I'm Richard Weinenbar, aka Soho52, battle photographer. Always where the action is.
Yes!
There you go.
I love that catchphrase because it is very true of you. Like, whenever I'm in a game and there's heavy fighting going on, I can almost guarantee you'll be there.
I was in Sweden last weekend. I met my counterpart, man after my own heart, the man in red, German photographer, right in the thick of it.
How is right in the thick of it his motto?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Is it? No, it's just man in red. Man in red is his motto. He wears a red boiler suit. He's right in the middle of it. Well, it's curious because the UK players are going, Did you see where he was? And I thought, what is it that I do? You notice a German guy in red. You don't notice me.
You need to get yourself a costume.
Yeah. Man in yellow, maybe.
Yeah, it could work.
I actually, at the last moment, got hold of a pair of push camo goggles. I thought it looked very fetching with my Armadillo black and white dreads. I thought, yes, it looked very, very, very good. So nice. Start of a costume there, bit black and white. Anyway, carry on.
Right. Well, I'm trying to bounce around through different comments here and stuff. We have seems that we've actually got a fair few people already tuned in, and so, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a couple of talking points. First off, I think we'd like to. Well, one of the reasons why I got Rich on tonight was for to talk about Hell's Gate, which was held in Sweden, I believe. It was 2 weekends ago, but I thought it was a bit early to get you on when you were probably still traveling last week. So, thought we'd drop you a message this week and see if you fancy coming on.
I was going to say, what's time now? Just half. I don't think we'd even landed by this point last week. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, we were delayed. So travelling is an understatement.
Yep. So how long were we actually delayed for?
So we get into the airport. Into the airport waiting lounge.
Yeah.
At which point they tell us, you're going to be waiting another, hour and 30 minutes or something. So
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, at least we can get some food and what have you. And then they boarded us, which we thought, great, brilliant. And no sooner than everyone has sort of packed everything away, we're all sat down. The pilot comes over and basically says, "Oh yeah, we're going to be here another 35 minutes." I've never heard so many strangers all at once all go, "Oh."
Just a collective sigh.
So I had a Matthew Nightingale on my left and Witsy from Going Postal on my right. I was crammed in between the two of them. So I had good company. It was good company.
Yeah, that's it. At least, good company.
Yeah, so it was all right. It was all right. The journey was interesting. It was fun. It's all part of it. Part of it, I'd say.
Well, that's it. It's not the destination. It's the journey to get there.
Yeah. It is a bit of a trek, actually. So from Stockholm Airport, it's a 3-hour drive by coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's normally how far I'm prepared to travel to a game.
Yeah. So. Right. Okay. So
never mind flying to another country and then traveling that.
Well, I left my house that Thursday morning at, oh my God, I forget, 5:30, 6. I think I got up at 5:30. I left at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And got to Gatwick Airport really early, and I was the closest as well. People traveling much further than me. Yeah. Gatwick Airport for me is an hour and a half away, so it's not actually too bad.
Yeah.
Hour and a half, 2 hours, and then the flight, which was 2.5 hours. then 3 hours from Stockholm to the.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a whole day of traveling.
Yeah.
To get there and to get back. But yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. What every Swedish person told me that I spoke to basically said, we're in hillbilly land. We were literally in the arse end of Sweden. That's a quote from a Swedish person. I'm not
Must
being
be
rude
twinned
at
with
all.
Newcastle, then, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the venue itself was a disused factory. It was formerly a ore extraction plant. You were mining rock, breaking it down to get the iron ore out of it, and then that was then smelted, then be sent off to refined. And apparently that factory shut down 10 years ago, and that community kind of just died. It went, it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
It's very,
know how
very
that
quiet.
fails.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I live in an old colliery village.
Yeah.
Is the colliery available for paintball?
Not even there no more.
Oh,
Flattened.
You know what it is? There is actually still a few sort of old colliery, like old mining buildings around the sort of areas where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know if there's any that are really big enough to host games on, though.
Right.
Unless you want to do something small in CQB, I suppose.
Yeah, perhaps.
Worth
But then
looking into, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. You never know. I mean, you know what? An amazing venue. Everybody I spoke to, and I did live streams over the weekend. I didn't prep a single person. I just sort of said to them, you've played paintball before. How long you've been playing in comparison to what else you've done? How does this compare? And every reaction was just, it's amazing. It's, it's incredible. Wow. We've never seen a space like it. I would add to that, it's a health and safety nightmare.
It looked interesting from some of the photos, but
I
it
watched
looked amazing.
I was gonna say I watched before the game when you were showing people around, and I was like,
Friday, I think.
I was like, Jesus. Like I say, it looked amazing, but health and safety. We've been having heart failure.
Yeah, well, before you even got into the factory, just on the ground, it was just a trip hazard. Basically, it was a trip hazard everywhere. And then in the factory itself, I genuinely all weekend was kind of like, I hope we get through this without a major injury or someone dying.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, oh my God.
The thing is, it just adds to the realism, doesn't it? I mean, especially for a Magfred event, it adds to the realism of it.
It was well, it's not just the fact that it was played in a disused factory. The site itself is owned by a couple of local twin brothers.
All right.
And clearly spending far too much time together with each other. Some really quirky stuff on site. I mean, you would go around and you'd find it was. What's the best way to describe? I think the best way to describe it, actually, it's like a hoarder's paradise. It's like everything they collected, they just dumped it somewhere on the site.
That's.
I mean, you could, you name something. You could find an electric piano. You could find animals' skulls. You could find entire engines out of trucks. There was all sorts of stuff on site, really curious stuff, and weird pictures and posters up on the wall, old clocks, trikes and kids' toys everywhere. I mean, the place. And when you got inside the factory and the wind whistled through it, because it's got windows, there's no glass. The wind would whistle through it. Before I did the live feed on Friday, I was walking around it, and for a while, for about 30 minutes, I was on my own.
Yeah.
And about every 5 minutes, I'd hear a noise and I'd go, hello? Is someone there?
Eerie.
It was really creepy.
Am I being stalked around the building?
It was a really creepy space. And I was glad when somebody came in, because I kind of felt,
But for a game that's called Hell's Gate, for to have that sort of feeling when you're in a place just sounds brilliant. I mean, having and seeing some of the photos where it was like they must be on a higher floor, and then looking down, and it does look scary. but it just really does look like it sort of adds to the sort of feeling of the games.
Yeah, well, so I think you went up to it was about the 5th or 6th floor. You could look down, and you weren't just looking down onto low ground. You were actually looking down into the basement where there's no light, so it was just pitch black. Yeah, and that I'm not exaggerating. It was somewhere between 70 and 80 feet down.
Yeah.
And then if you actually went up to if you went to 6th floor, sixth floor was incredible because 6th floor was a big open space, and you looked up and it was like you were on a cathedral, but it was a bit of a mind kind of melt because you kind of knew you were on the 6th floor, but it was like staring up at the roof of a cathedral. It was crazy. I mean, you know, UK players and you know, other foreign players, even Swedish people were walking around it on Friday, exploring it on Thursday, and people were just in awe of the space. You know, I mean, that's the factory though. Let's not detract from what was going on outside, because the site owners had taken shipping containers, and they'd arrange shipping containers and stack them, and then they'd cut holes in them, and then they'd then built structures out of concrete breeze blocks and pallets and sheets of ply and all sorts of stuff. So it was a real cacophony of material to build this space up that had obviously taken a lot of time. So it was just incredible. I mean, the live feeds didn't really do it justice. I mean,
well,
you know,
this is it. It's always difficult to, or at least I find through making the odd YouTube video, that it's difficult to catch the feeling of a place on camera, and I do think it takes a lot of skill to be able to do that well. And it's just when you're doing something from hello Colin.
Hi.
Hey,
Finish watching Love Island, you puff.
No, but
it's not denying it. It's not denying it.
But when you're doing something like a live stream, it must be difficult to share. Obviously, you can't share how airy something is. It just looks like a room. Or when you're doing it on a live stream, but I'm struggling to sort of describe what I mean.
Well, it's probably why when I do there's two reasons why I talk so much in a live stream. One is because the silence is embarrassing. As we may well find out on this show. And the other one, I'm trying to quantify everything that I'm seeing, explain it for everybody. Because actually, when I've gone back and watched the live feed a couple of times, not because I'm vain, but to sort of kind of improve. What the resolution? There's not sufficient resolution to actually be aware that there are first strikes whizzing past my head along with paintballs. You know, so I'm having to tell people. There are parts early on in that live stream where it really looks like nothing's happening, but in actual fact, I'm standing in the middle of a firefight. It's just everyone's in the shade. You know, it's Sparta all over again. They're fighting in the shade. Basically, it was that hot. So unfortunately, the resolution of the live feed doesn't really show up the amount of paint that's actually whizzing backwards and forwards.
Well, that's it. I think we are kind of using limited technology at the moment, and I think over the next few years, the capacity for it to do. I mean, we've already got sort of like action cameras that you can live stream with in game. Now, I think it's only going to be another few years before that technology improves to way past what we can probably even imagine now. And we're going to have amazing gameplay that we're going to be able to sit and watch. And live streams and stuff will be so much more immersive. But that's, I suppose, back to the future sort of stuff.
I think 3 years ago, I don't think I was even doing live streams.
You know? Yeah, that's it. Technology is advancing at an incredible rate.
When did Facebook live streams come in?
It hasn't been that long, really. You could do them about 3 years ago, but I took time to kind of warm up to them. I mean, even before doing a live stream, I'm still apprehensive now, because I'm conscious that while the live stream's running, I need to be filling it with noise.
Yes.
Like, what am I going to say?
Well, you're
I'm
not
getting run out.
short on words, Rich.
Pardon, Colin?
You're never short on words.
Well, yeah. The issue is actually when you watch back the live, the number of people that correct me, they say, "Yeah, no, it's not 10 years. It was only 7 years," and no, it's not. It's not. You know, it's not 11 balls a second. It's 16. It's just like, oh yeah, okay. Because you know, Rent-A-God basically.
Well, that's it. Just embrace it. Embrace the corrections. It's becoming a running joke now that every time I say something's rare, there's like people that'll messages and go, "Well, I've got 5 of those." Yeah, and he has the photo to prove it. So,
to be fair, you might as well just turn around and say Tipman 98's a rare.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm actually hoping that well, maybe if I say that what they're called. Oh damn! It's gone out of my head now. The AGD. Nah, it's gone. The CO2 changes. What are they called?
Quick change.
Yes, it's the quick change thing, but like the 6-pack. I'm saying that the AGD 6-pack is like really, really rare. So I'm hoping that there's going to be over 30 people. There's a PR with them now, and they're going to flood the market, and they'll be like 20 quid each.
Yeah, right, okay. You're on about live streaming. I read somewhere that some big IT firm are looking into fully immersive VR live streaming, so you'd be able to put the gear on, and you're in the room where the person is live streaming.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah. See, to an extent, I could see something like that being done with, the 360 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
If you had one of those in a fixed position, the idea of being able to put a VR headset on and be able to look around and see everything that's going on, I think that could be relatively simple to do. But then I think when you start wanting to do like immersive, where you can actually walk around a room, then you're going to have to start putting sensors in places and things.
I may be mistaken, but I think Martello from Paint Mail magazine has in the past done some 360 live stream. He's done 360. Yeah. I believe he's done 360 live stream. He had for a Greece game last year or the year before.
Oh, right.
I may be mistaken on that. It may have been after the fact. I thought he did a 360 live stream.
Well, I would imagine doing a 360 live stream isn't too well. It's probably manageable now because effectively it's just hooking up a 360 camera to live streaming technology. I think
enough bandwidth to take it. That's the
true. Yeah, but it should be manageable if it hasn't already been done.
My problem whenever doing a live stream is, have I got signal?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so and it. You know, whether you got signal or not varies from mobile phone provider to mobile phone provider, because that's what I used for my mobile.
Yeah. For
my live streams.
Yeah.
So in Sweden, mobile phone signal was good wherever I was. It just seemed to be just good everywhere.
Yeah.
Ironically, I do actually comment on one of my live streams. I'm going to have to go to another country to get decent signal. Can somebody from EE answer that for me? Because in my own house, we've got 1 pip at the moment.
Yeah.
Just looking at my phone.
Yeah. They are decked. So Paul Cross has come in the chat. He's got 2 6-packs.
I knew he would. I knew he would.
And a 6-mag, the UK knockoff.
Yeah. There we go. I knew he would. I knew somebody would do it.
Oh, they're rare, but someone's got 3 of them. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're rare because they got them all.
Yeah.
Well, it's like ACA guns in this country. They're rare because I've got them all.
Yeah. You know what else is incredibly rare? Clear JT Pro Shields. Yep. They're incredibly, incredibly rare. Come on, Paul. Show us 3 sets of those. Yeah, so Rich, would you recommend Hell's Gate then?
I think it would be inappropriate for me to recommend it, but I think it's going to be one of those destinations, one of those bucket list games that people are going to want to check out and have a go at. basically.
Right. Yeah.
Is it going to happen again? Well, that's not down to me. That's down to Paul from OMG Events, basically.
Yeah.
But certainly the site owners, certainly players. I spoke to a lot of players who were sort of talking about like it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to happen again.
Next year when you put it on again, I'll be back next year.
Well, it's interesting actually. A lot of Swedish players, and I must stress that actually for a MagFed game, over 260 players, which
that's brilliant.
In MagFed players in Europe, that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. I mean, I don't know what the maximum numbers are that anyone's pulled into a MagFed game, but that's certainly bigger than anything we've had in the UK. Yeah, that's for sure.
You never know. We might even manage to get a MagFed gun in Albert's hands for that one.
Interestingly, 120 Swedish players, which OMG ran the event. They organised and ran the event. And their contact on the ground there was MFOG Sweden, who are effectively the Swedish version of OMG. Yeah. Run by two guys there, Tony and Michael, really nice guys. Not as much experience as Paul. They really reached out to Paul and asked him if he would come and help them. Yeah. Basically run an event and pull in the players. What's interesting is what Michael and Tony from MFOG said is that 120 Swedish players, that's pretty much the entire MagFed community in Sweden. Yeah. With the exception of like 5 people. Yeah.
But you know what it is, though? That in itself is
pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. That's basically exactly what I was going to say. The fact of that they actually have a community, and I know the MagFed community within the UK is actually quite tight in itself. Yeah. But we're not exactly as big of a country as Sweden are, and I know that Sweden's probably a bit more, at least from what you see on the TV, it seems to be a bit more sparse.
They've got a lot denser, not as dense a population actually.
Yes, that's basically what I was. Than ours. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. But for their community to actually come together as well as that and get down and put in basically, if that's the majority of their MagFed community, for them to all get together, that's great to see. And say, why can't our paintball community, and I'm talking the paintball community in general, do that? And I know that there is a lot on offer, but why can't we do that?
Good question. I don't have the answer to that. Actually, I mean, you, I, Albert, Colin, we've all been around paintball for some time now. Yeah. And in my
Albert,
time,
a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, even though it's I've been around paintball 6-7 years. It's interesting how it's changed. It's diversified. Yes. I mean, MagFed didn't exist. Well, I wasn't conscious of it anyway.
MagFed existed, but not in it. Say in anywhere near where it is now.
Yeah,
let me change that. MagFed markers existed.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, MagFed games didn't.
Right. Well, that was it. There was no MagFed. There was no serious MagFed stuff for up until probably 2011, 2012, I would say. The first time I experienced some guys that were like fully into Milsim and that were like hosting MagFed games and stuff was probably there was some guys that turned up with a Land Rover to, I think it was Call 2 Duty, and they ran a game it was at the Sunny Bridge, and I'm pretty sure they had loaned out markers, and they were the first people that had like an entire group that was actually dedicated to MagFed. Before that, you had the odd player that might turn up to a game that had like some Rap 4 stuff, but it was very sort of basic gear at the time.
You're about War Games.
I don't know.
There was a company called War Games. Yeah, they used to do a lot of.
Was that not Dave Thatcher?
Pass. I just
know. Thatcher was War Fighters.
Oh, that was right. That was War Fighters.
There was along the same lines as War Fighters, but that was the first time I'd seen MagFed in any big description. It was a company down south, but they were Yeah. You see, I've seen MagFed guns going back loads of years, but it was always things that people had made themselves.
Well, the first team I can actually remember seeing a dedicated Magfed setup was District 10 at Skirmish Nottingham.
Oh, okay.
And that would have been 2010, and it was one guy, and I believe he's the guy that plays Mad Baz for OMG events.
Oh, right.
I think it's him. Yeah, and that was the first and only time I saw like a full dedicated Magfed loadout, and that was just one guy though. But he went out and he played that event with it.
I can't think of the name of the guy.
Well, Mad Baz is Jason Bazooka.
Yes.
That's the guy I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him.
The first person I ever saw with it was a Rap 4 T68, I believe.
Yeah, that would have been it at the time, because I think that was pretty much all that was available.
Because I think
the Rap 4 markers
with that. He used to play everything with that. I've seen him play South and everything.
I'm sure one of the lads who was a BT Ranger, Funky Diver, he had a self-built Magfed gun.
Yeah.
But I'm going back like 2000
Land Before Time.
2005, 2006.
Yeah.
A sharp tooth!
Moving on.
Paul said he's got a red and a blue JTs, but he hasn't got no clears. And Craig goes, they're not clear no more, they're yellow because of the age.
Well,
he's dog.
He's off. He's gonna go.
He's invisible. He's invisible. Dogs probably skimming the room again.
There we're going back. See, JT Proteus, clear Proteus. No,
that mask's probably as old as you.
That's yellow.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, that's it. That part. It doesn't matter what you do. That part will not come back up as clear. But I mean, yes, all right, it's yellow, but they're not that yellow. And actually, it's been a long time since I've played this. Yellow. I've actually got
ginger.
White shell in them.
yeah, they don't look yellow; they look ginger.
yeah. But the frames are from the last run that JT did of like clear lenses, clear frames.
Gassie's put a yellow with a ginger tinge.
Yeah, you should see us with them on then.
Yeah, I did see something from Gassie just before I joined, saying about Hell's Gate being a bit of a health and safety nightmare.
Yeah.
He was saying the apartments at EBG Malvinkle were moved out of bounds after some fool jumped out of a third-story window rather than get shot.
Well,
my good God!
Surrender! No.
I mean, third-story window. I mean, you got to be pretty desperate to not get shot at that point.
I've talked about this before, but Borg had a video on his YouTube channel where he was in a multi-story building. I think he was maybe on the second floor, and there's just no wall where there should be leading to outside. But there's a building, maybe a meter or so, a couple of meters at the most away from where he is, and it's the roof of that building is the same height. Yeah, the roof of that building is the same height as the floor where he is. And he just kind of looks out the window, makes sure there's no one else around that's going to shoot him, and then runs and jumps onto the roof of this building, and then just wanders around on the top of there, shooting people from on top. It's like, what? I get that that's Czechoslovakia. Well, what was it? Where was Borg from? Is it the Czech Republic? Or no, Croatia. Croatia. Yes, Borg was from Croatia. And it's like, all right, I get it. It's Croatia, and the health and safety probably isn't as strict, but that's kind of scary, and I want to do it.
To be fair,
Paul does a safety break. Paul Strutt from OMG Events does a safety strut in the morning before the game starts.
Yeah.
And Saturday morning, he said something along the lines of, I'll try and do it justice now. He said something like, if it seems cool, then don't do it. Let's be careful out there, people. Basically, you know?
Yeah. We kind of want to finish this game with everyone having all of their limbs.
yeah. Unfortunately, there was only one significant injury, and
Yeah.
that was someone who kind of, I don't know, sprained their toe, twisted their toe.
Twisted a
That's
toe.
I'm not quite sure, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if it was done in game, to be perfectly honest with you. Peter from the De Beer clan,
Yeah.
he's a bit of a clown anyway. So,
To be fair, I think Dex nearly broke my toe at Curtain.
Sorry.
The MVP 5 when he slid a metal sheet on the floor to try and get it out of the way without realizing I was in front of him and slid it straight into the end of my boot.
I didn't kick it out of the way.
Nice.
I slipped on it. I didn't know it was there. I think is that not actually in one of my videos? Where,
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And you annotated it. Sorry, Colin.
I didn't know it was there.
To be fair, we were at the top of a stairwell that had about 6 EG18s thrown down it.
Yep. That's it. That was a very smoky stairwell. And it seemed a great idea to smoke the enemy out until... That's it. The tactic worked. It cleared the stairwell, and it was a great idea until the refs went, right, now go down it. The objective is down there. Go and get it.
They weren't going to come up it.
True.
I should add actually that to OMG, there's in game there is a restriction on dropping smoke in a room or a building.
Yes.
I mean, it does happen sometimes, but normally it's sort of asked not to, because in confined area you just cannot see where you're going.
Yeah.
But in a different country, anything goes.
Are you listening, Colin?
No.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying OMG games.
Yeah.
I have got a second Enola Gay belt coming.
Yes, we noticed.
Bandolier.
Well, it's probably better to use a belt for it than to just tape them to yourself like you did last time.
Well, to be fair, I used the bandolier belt and then ran out of space, so then taped them to myself.
Yep.
I didn't tape them to myself. I got someone else to tape them to me.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering, those like big slingshots you can get for firing water balloons at people, where you've got to have like 3 people hold them. I wonder how well smokes would fly out of one of those.
Well, believe it or not, Rap4 was selling them as grenade launchers not that long ago.
Grenade launchers that are going to knock people out when you...
I've got one. It'll fire a water bomb over 300 feet at close to 70 mile an hour. I actually was messing around with it, and I got the kids to shoot me, and I had a bruise in my back, the perfect shape of a water bomb.
Awesome.
Tommy Webber, North East South, for the UK Versus game, actually uses a smoke cannon.
Yeah, it's a Metadine Havoc launcher.
Yeah, and then it's been adapted as well, so it really neatly takes those EG18s.
Yeah,
and he uses it. Interestingly, the way he uses it is very effective. Because I asked him, what are you launching at people? He lets the smoke off, and then what he does is he fires a coloured smoke, and then to somewhere on the field. And I've used. It's got a hell of a kick on it. I mean, it's got real kick on it. It fires a long way. I don't know, 300 yards or more, 350 yards, something like that. And the way he uses it is he fires smoke, and then he basically says, right, you lot, to that colour, go to that orange smoke, or go to that yellow smoke, or go to that white smoke. Yeah. So actually he uses it very effectively.
Well, have you ever seen Attack on Titan?
That is a brilliant idea. I need one of them now.
I know. Well, he sent me a link to it. They're not cheap.
Oh no, the Metadine Havoc launchers are not a cheap thing to get hold of. No. But I have wanted one of those for years. It was. Can anybody else remember Hustle PB? I don't even know if that's still active or not.
No.
They did a video where I think they must have gotten their hands on at least one of them, and they were just sneaking around the factory, shooting each other with the sort of the Nerf darts that fit inside them, the Nerf rockets that fit down inside them, and just sneaking around, shooting each other in the back and stuff when they weren't expecting it.
I've always wondered, would you be able to adapt a T-shirt cannon to fire? Because they're not that expensive.
Easily, because you just need a different diameter tube.
Chan.
Diameter one. You just
No,
get
he's not here.
you just get a tube that's a bit smaller diameter that a grenade fits in.
Yeah,
because the only problem is there would be changing the velocity on them. So I don't think they can be the velocity on a t-shirt cannon can be changed.
anything can be
And
changed.
they can't off fire some.
Yeah. Well, that's it. If you reduce the diameter on a barrel that's designed to shoot a certain pressure, it's then going to increase the pressure, isn't it?
And they can if they go a long way to start with.
Yes.
Be like, kind of, right, go and attack that site at the other end of the country.
Yeah. You're launching smoke grenades out of the game zone.
Oh dear. That'd be good.
Rich is saying Tommy's launcher was worked on by Candyman. Yeah.
It's the Chandy Man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Chandyman, sorry.
Yeah.
I knew it had been modified because he explained it to me.
Yeah.
Because he got to have a go of it, didn't he?
Genius.
Yeah. Chan actually did get to have a go at it, but I would absolutely love to get my hands on one of those. I'm kind of jealous of some of the games that they host in America where they actually use tanks in the way that they do. You know, where they'll actually have like a tank crew and not just a couple of people that maybe use a tank for one game, and they'll rent the tank out, or they'll rent that team out for games, so you can literally hire a tank crew. And then they'll use like rocket launchers and all this sort of stuff, and that sometimes that purpose-built tanks, like the one that Wolf showed, did a video on the other day, Albert. That tank was brilliant, and
it was with all the cameras and
like a proper purpose-built paintball tank. It wasn't just a car that had been modified; it was a proper paintball tank, and having like rocket launchers on and stuff like that, and using it to take out other vehicles.
Well, it had a purpose-built smoke, didn't it? So it could actually, like, not jettison the smoke, but it would literally just
lay
like a James Bond sort of thing. It would just whereas they're driving around, give off smoke, and like I say, he had cameras going all around 360. They had a grenade launcher. Several grenade launchers on there, and a good multi-barrel ion thing.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Yeah, that was it. And for the main turret, I mean, the turret itself was a mock-up, but inside the turret was a Metadyne Havoc launcher, and some of that sort of stuff just it really excites me. But I also wouldn't want to be stuck in the tank all day just driving around.
I think that would get boring.
I've noticed in MagFed paintball, the further east you go. So you get into Germany, East Germany, Russia, and down to Poland and across to Poland.
Yeah.
I mean, they're crazy. They are using real tanks. In the game.
Yeah. That Russian game. Yeah. I think it was Wolf again who posted up when they were actually flying around in army helicopters. They had armored personnel carriers. They had tanks. I mean, it was mental.
It's the game in Scotland, isn't it? I can't remember the name of it.
Well, there's Born to Strike. I think, is it Born to Strike?
That could be it.
That's got a lot of vehicles in it.
There's that. I think the one in Poland, some people get strapped into a helicopter and you can shoot out the side of it as they're bound over the field.
It's an old Huey, isn't it?
Yeah, there is some really awesome stuff out there, and it's great to see all these different sites trying to compete in a way to have some of the different stuff. I think competition breeds sort of creativity. You know, if sites want to do better, then they need to come up with better ideas, and to outdo that competition. It's great to see what some of these sites actually come up with.
But you said about. Sorry, go on, Colin.
Yeah, it is great to see all this extra stuff and all this sort of stuff. But to anyone who's a little bit sort of conscious of health and safety, you could almost see them having a mental breakdown, seeing everything.
Spoiling the fun. Health and safety in this country has just gone ridiculous. Yes, you do need some health and safety, but I think it's just gone overboard.
There's a clip that I love from a comedian called Steve Hughes, where he talks about health and safety and political correctness. And he says health and safety is the controlling of our physical movements, and political correctness is the controlling of our mental movements. And he says about health and safety, you know, like if you take the UK, for example, you know, like we've got canals and, you know, they are rivers and things like that. And everywhere you go, there's barriers, and there'll be a sign saying, don't go in the water, you'll drown. If you go in the water, you'll die. You go to Amsterdam, where they sell mushrooms, they sell cannabis, they sell alcohol. And is there, you know, they've got canals everywhere, they ride bikes everywhere, and their philosophy is your bike wet? Yeah, well, you're on the wrong bit.
Yeah, but there's one fundamental problem with that. You're dealing with Dutch people, not English.
Yeah.
English people are idiots when it comes to stuff like that.
But we can make good cues.
I bet you'll probably find that they don't get as many accidents to deal with the canals as what we do in this country.
Yeah, or people being thrown into them.
Well, it's not that long ago, not far from here at York. How many people last year? It was just ridiculous.
You said earlier about you know, this sense of community, because 120 MagFed went into this game in Sweden, and how, you know, that's quite a sense of community, and why maybe there's, you know, why aren't we seeing that in the UK? And actually, interestingly, we've been talking about MagFed games with tanks in, but actually those games are starting to splinter off into what's known as Milsim. So they use MagFed markers, but it's military simulation.
Yes.
And looking at what's going on in the UK, what I've noticed over the years is actually I think there's a lot of choice in UK paintball now.
Yes.
So are you a tournament player, or are you a recreational woods ball player?
Yeah.
Or are you a tournament woods ball player? I mean,
yes.
crossover. Some people are tournament woods ball and, you know, they're PPS as well.
Yeah.
And then of course you've got MagFed and you've got Milsim, and I think there's a lot of this diversification. Everyone's kind of like, well, I do this type of paintball, I do that type of paintball, and of course, I mean, in a couple of weeks' time, we've got Paint Fest coming up, which is one of those events that tries to celebrate all the different types of paintball that we have going on in the UK. I mean, they will try to represent everything that's happening, basically.
Yeah.
But I think when you say why is there not that sense of, I think it's just the choice. I think it's the variety in paintball.
Yeah.
You know?
On the subject of Paint Fest, I was in my my team chat earlier, and there is a very disappointed Brian. That, well, he was disappointed to start with because there is no Mr. Paintfest competition.
Oh,
is there not?
No, they're not. They're not running a Mr. Paintfest competition. I presume because they just fear him just going up on stage naked.
Naked after last year.
That's the only way you can go further. To be fair.
Richie, you must remember his little tartan he had on last year.
He was quite disappointed until I pointed out that he is actually now forever the reigning champion of Mr. Paintfest.
I think he's won it like 3 years in a row, hasn't he?
Yep.
4, I think.
4. Yeah, 4.
4 in a row. It just basically, no one else is going to beat Brian. There's no point running it. And it'll take a health and safety nightmare out of the way.
Yeah.
Brian on stage after a good bit of booze is not the safest thing.
Is he actually coming to PM Fest?
I don't think he can make it.
Oh.
He wants to, but I think funds and stuff is not.
I miss Brian. He's one of the biggest characters in paintball.
Yeah.
Yes. Mad as a box of frogs, but
definitely.
Best.
Well, that was it. The fact that he one of his paintball stories actually made Lad Bible as well was brilliant.
Which one was that?
Which one? Yeah, I went. Which one's that? Let's find out.
Go on, Index.
Yeah.
It wasn't his special barrel tag, was it?
No, it wasn't his special barrel tag. It was. I mean, it wasn't a video. It was just a story. You know, he wrote it up on what had happened to him.
There is a video of it happening, though.
Well, yes, that's it. There is video of it happening as well.
And it was one of you that did it to him. It was one of the Nest lads who shot him.
Can't guarantee that.
Yes, it was.
Ball hit him.
Yeah, it was.
Is this the Braveheart moon?
It may be that indeed, Colin. So basically, Brian, we're playing Scotland versus England, and you know at Living Legends they have the slapsticks. on the top of a hill, and obviously each side has to try and get up and slap. Well, Brian runs up, hits the slapstick, turned around, and as a true Scotsman, he's wearing a kilt with nothing underneath. He decides to moon on the top of the hill, right beside the slapstick, at the enemy, and took a shot to the happy sack from behind. So he then, I believe it was a couple of days later, had to go to the doctors because he found a lump. And it turned out it was just trauma from being shot and not the worst case scenario. But he wrote this all up about what had happened and everything, and the Lad Bible actually shared it.
Yep. And it was one of you,
good old
Shotman.
Good old Brian.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and like it was said, there is actually video footage of him doing the moon as well, and then kind of running off quick, kind of sharp.
You actually see him jump.
Yeah.
When it hits, you actually see him physically lift off the floor by a couple of inches, and then he takes off like a rocket.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, I walked up and down every time I went up.
Yeah, but you didn't take a shot of the spuds from behind, did you?
Or I bet you I took a couple to the, but not from behind. Well, but saying that, like I think I got shot just as much off my own team as I did the other team.
Yeah.
Because I was just yellow from head to foot.
Yeah.
No, that's what happens when you go and dance around on top of the mound where the slapstick is.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually kind of surprised that the guy. Well, you know the I think it was the last video that I actually uploaded of my glorious death at North versus South. I'm kind of surprised that the lad who was drilling us didn't actually aim for the nads, because
he's back about the van again, isn't he?
Yeah, back to hashtag van life.
But I was kind of surprised. Hey, my dog was saying earlier on, and you didn't even notice.
Yeah, because
it's only up here, Dex. That's why.
Hey, as long as I've got a friend somewhere.
Is it called Harry?
No. But yeah, so Rich saying about the fragmentation.
No.
Yeah. Well, I've got no idea where the whole Harry thing was going, so I just thought I'd just shut it down right there.
Or was it Harvey the rabbit?
I've still got no idea what you're talking about.
Harvey the rabbit.
There was a film years ago about a guy who had an imaginary friend that was a rabbit.
Harvey the rabbit, 6-foot-tall rabbit. James Stewart.
Oh, is that not Donnie Darko?
No. He's right. It's James Stewart's black and white film.
Ah, right.
Has a 6-foot-tall rabbit that only he can see. His family think he's nuts, basically. They want to certify him. Yeah. And, well, you have to watch the film.
Yeah.
Well, Dex has a dog like that.
Dex. Yep.
There is a crazed rabbit in Donnie Darko.
Yeah,
it's
the eye.
Scary.
Yeah. The eye is like glowing.
Yeah. Don't start me on film. This won't be about paintball anymore.
That's it, right. Let's
to be fair, we managed that last week with Martello. We ended
just music, and he was on about his video discs, wasn't he?
Yeah,
showing us his laser discs. Yeah, showing us his laser disc collection.
It was really interesting.
It was.
Yeah. The discs are worth more than the players.
Chan didn't even know what it was, because Chan didn't even know what he was on about. Did he? He said 2 seconds.
No,
I'll go get one.
What Laserdisc was.
Star Wars comes on 2 giant discs. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jurassic Park's on 4 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right. So going back to talking about the fragmentation of UK paintball, though, do you think that? Well, obviously, that's if we'll go with the idea that paintball in the UK is kind of fragmented.
I wouldn't say fragmented. I would say the diversification.
Yeah.
But, well, it's just really another fancy word for fragmented, isn't it? Really. And it's I'm not
fragmented. Fragmented implies that there's a discord. That there's
that is to an extent, and I mean, I'm not saying that it's genuinely nasty or anything like that, but that there does seem to be a bit of rivalry between the different groups, and
is there?
I would say that there probably is to some extent. No, I don't think it's definitely not as bad as some other groups are. Like if you look at Airsoft, the way that Airsoft, like Speedsofters versus Milsim players, kind of behave towards each other.
Well, airsoft is. You're talking about tournament airsoft, aren't you?
Yes.
Speedball.
Airsoft effectively.
Okay, don't even get me started. That's just silly. It's just like play paintball.
Exactly.
That's just silly.
I'm not going to get into a slaggy match or anything like that. But have you seen what Speedsofters wear?
Paintball gear.
Yes.
No, they don't wear paintball gear.
They don't wear paintball gear. They wear lycra trousers with shorts over the top of them.
Yeah, imagine me going on a bike,
style jersey,
conscious and not wanting like anybody to see my bulge, and then wearing a paintball mask at the same time. That's basically what Speedsofters wear.
It's weird. They don't wear proper trousers. They literally wear skin tight leggings with knee pads.
Yeah.
Little shorts like pedo shorts.
Oh, nice. I think I've got my look through Painfest.
A paper jersey and paintball mask. It's like, what are you doing?
When he says pedo, he means pedometer, as in walking shorts.
In all fairness, it's because they're playing for genuine speed, so they're wearing the gear that should make them faster. But in reality, it's not going to make you that much faster.
Road bike.
Yeah, Colin said the mountain bikers in disguise.
Mountain bikers don't wear lycra. We wear baggy stuff.
I reckon I should wear lycra for Painfest.
Oh,
what do you reckon, Gassy?
But
what's your name? George Dawes.
Paul's saying not fragmented. There is still plenty of crossover between the styles. I totally agree. And when I'm saying fragmented, I don't mean that everyone is literally hating on each other and stuff. So I'll accept that possibly fragmented is a bit of a strong term for it. But there is definitely, a division to an extent with the different communities. And the different communities, Magfed players will generally want to play with other Magfed players. And you've got a lot of sort of woods ballers. When a tournament team will turn up to a woods ball event, and I'm talking like a walk-on or something, they can kind of be I've seen players claim about them being intimidated and stuff because you've got a tournament team that's turned up, and there is a certain amount of it, but it's more so you'll only really see speedballers at a speedball event. CPPS, you're not going to see somebody go on a sub airfield with a Magfed marker. Now, there is odd exceptions, but the general rule is that it's going to be that way. Now, that's understandable because speedball gear has been designed for the purpose of launching a paintball in its most efficient form. Now, that can be said for some Magfed gear when it comes to shooting first strike, but overall, I do believe that Magfed gear isn't designed for performance. It is designed, a lot of it, for look, and I'm not dissing that. I think when you say that, I've got to be very clear that I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It's a personal preference thing, and I'm all for that. I love the idea of people having that personal preference and choosing to shoot certain gear. I think that's great. But there is definitely sort of the little sort of cliques and there's little groups, and as a result, I think that leads to some conflict, and it might not be massive amounts of conflict, but some conflict.
I'm not conscious. I'm not conscious of any conflict. I've not seen Megfedders going off against tournament players or anything like that. And they're incredible. There's a real contrast, isn't it? To go from Megfed to tournament. Yeah. I haven't seen any contrast on that. And actually, if you look at a game like the big games like North v South, and we've got Paintfest in a couple of weeks' time, and then Mayhem Big Game. Actually, those events will attract Magfedders and tournament players and recreational woods ball. Whereas, so I think it's more a case. I think probably Magfedders would, and it's probably wrong of me to speak for them as a community, as a group, but I have heard some Magfedders, they wouldn't want somebody with an electro marker on the field for two reasons. One, you're outgunned, but actually, it's not in keeping with the flavour of the event.
Yes,
mostly because actually there's a leaning now for box mags. We're starting to see some box mags appear in Magfed events, which to my mind is just an inverted hopper, frankly.
Well, do you not think this is kind of it's a more it's basically paintball has restarted itself with really low capacity pieces of equipment. I mean, what did paintball start with? Start with a pistol. What were the most popular original MagFed markers? Things like the Tiberius pistols. The TPX was like the big one. And then you moved up to, what was the next big thing that came out, I would say, for MagFed? Hammer 7.
Hammer 7.
Pump action. And now we're going into semi-autos with stick feeds. And now we're getting like drum mags. Then there was like drum mags started coming out, which have got like 70 rounds in them. And now we're getting box mags that have got 200, 300 rounds in them.
300.
Yeah, and you're basically, what we've done is we've taken original paintball gear, turned it upside down, and saying it's new, and it's effectively that's part of the reason why I had such a problem at the beginning of the rise of MagFed, with some players' attitudes of saying like I wasn't allowed to join in because I wanted to play stock class with them. It's like, but it's the exact same. I'm not shooting any faster than these. I'm definitely not shooting faster than these. It's the same spirit of it, but it's not realistic enough. But now you're seeing a lot of MagFed players that are shooting things that aren't necessarily realistic, but they do the same job. And you've got like, it just seems like people are a lot more open-minded now. And I think that is a great thing to see. Now, if somebody wants to put on a milsim event, I totally appreciate saying like, look, anything that isn't realistic isn't welcome. I get that. It's a milsim event. But
well, in the UK, I mean, milsims not really a thing. I mean, this weekend, OMG ran a 60-player game called Operation Talon at Combat Paintball Thetford, which was aimed at being a milsim event. So it's just everyone's clear. That means the focus is on achieving missions and completing objectives, and the paintball is meant to be secondary.
Yeah.
Now, just explain for a moment. I know that it's been explained to me the way that the Germans do milsim. And there are some English players that have been subjected to this. I've heard a story at Stonehaven 2, which was run by OMG Events in France. They had part of the game was milsim orientated. And it's for a hardcore following of Germans, basically. And one of the tasks which some English players joined in with was to run telephone cable out to a location 3 or 3.5 kilometers from their starting point.
Yeah.
The amusing thing about this was they run the telephone line out there, and there was a marshal there waiting for them who says, right, now connect the telephone handset to it. So they all went, what telephone handset? So one of them had to hike 3 kilometers back to get the telephone handset, because the rest of them said, well, we're not going. We've just walked 3 kilometers. So one poor player walks back to get his handset to then come back, then connect it for the marshal to go, congratulations, you've just achieved the objective.
Yeah. No, but that's brilliant.
Milsim, that's not MagFed, that's not paintball. That's military simulation.
But you see, I'm fine with the idea of having objectives like that in real games anyway.
But we don't do that, just to stress, we don't do that in the UK. And in fact, this weekend that just went, Saturday, OMG attempted to run their version of milsim, which was object orientated, but very much more that the players would clash with each other. That they would actually encounter each other and fight. They were fighting for the same objectives to achieve similar results. And the curious thing is that I didn't go back on Sunday. I had other things to do, but I did speak to Paul Strutt from OMG today, and he basically says, on Sunday we just went to normal paintball, played MagFed, because people weren't really getting into the spirit of it necessarily. They weren't really grasping it.
I think with the massive rise in airsoft in the UK, I think a lot of people who want to go down the milsim route have moved across to airsoft for that.
Because
it's a lot easier to do milsim with airsoft than it is with paintball.
At the moment,
doubt.
But let's call airsoft what it actually is. It's LARP. Really, it's live
action.
I
would agree with that. Yes. There's a lot of people get very, very offended when you say that, and I don't know why.
Well, what is it then? But it is. It's LARP.
It is. It's military LARP.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I play airsoft, I play it like I play paintball.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that then gets people complaining at you, doesn't it, Colin?
I've been at MPF when the airsofters have been there, and I've seen paintballers play the airsoft as they were playing paintball, but on an airsoft at MPF. And then during the break, someone's come over and said, "Do you want to just calm it down a little bit?"
but that's the thing, Rich.
Had to have a conversation with them, just sort of thinking. I mean, the difference. I've seen airsoft played. I'm talking about MPF, right? But I've seen airsoft played locally to me as well.
Yeah.
Here's the most significant thing that I've noticed between airsoft and paintball. When that whistle blows, I mean, everyone knows what the objectives are, right?
Yeah.
When that whistle blows, paintballers, they go running out. They're off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And airsofters, they walk it out. Not many of them decide to run it. A lot of them just walk it out. That's been my experience at MPF and also locally here, a couple of airsoft sites that I've gone and photographed. People just going to walk it out, and I just kind of think, are we playing the game or what are we?
Yeah.
And I'm poised with the cameras, kind of capture them all running, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked, but because I've not been playing it that long, and I've only played a few games and whatnot. And I only play with a local club. I've not gone to any proper events or anything. I mean, but as Dex will understand, why would I go to a big event when a normal day for them is over 100 players at our local site? I get asked, "Oh, so what's the biggest difference between the two?" And I'll just say, "You guys are not aggressive in any way at all in how you play." Oh, well, we always like to get to the front. Yeah, but there's a difference in how you get to the front.
Yeah.
Plus the fact, Colin, you play airsoft dressed as bloody Woody of Toy Story.
I've only done that once, and that was because I was in my normal casual gear.
Once is enough.
I thought it was hilarious, me with his hat on and the cowboy shirt and his jeans with the Smith, what was the gun you were using?
A Winchester.
Yeah.
To be fair, that the photos of that game, I had been given the hat when I got there. I was there to pick up the gun, and I was calling in as I was driving past the site. I wasn't intending on playing, and I basically got told, "Going out for a game before you leave."
So it wasn't with that gun you got wrong for snap shooting?
No, that was Chris Lee that got moaned at for snap shooting.
Oh, was it? I thought it was you. I thought that was funny.
He wasn't presenting a target for long enough.
Yeah. He actually went and complained to the marshal. What the marshal goes, "So you're just saying he's a better player than you?" Then
he's cheating. He's cheating. Yeah. No. How is he cheating? He's blind firing. Well, is he coming out? Yeah, he's coming out completely, but he's not staying out long enough for me to shoot him. Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, after the game, the guy went back into the safe zone, packed his gear up, and put it in his car and drove home.
Yeah.
Keyboard warrior then.
They literally wouldn't take Chris off the field because he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Gassie's asked a question: would a 10-shot spring feed tube on an Empire Sniper be acceptable at an OMG MagFed game?
Yes, it would be acceptable.
I've got to say, Paul is actually very fair when it comes to stuff like that. And we had this conversation a while back. I believe it was actually on that live stream that I did with you, Rich, where Paul mentioned at the time about, you would be willing to accept people that would come on playing stock class or playing with obviously pistols or things like that. Things that are in the same spirit.
Anything
right.
is in the spirit of MagFed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not about a military look. It's more about the capacity of the gun that you're using, the marker that you're using.
Yeah.
It's really. I mean, look, I played some MagFed on Saturday, and it's not really my thing. I'm used to an Ego 9 or Ego 11. I got a few of those. with 180 balls in a hopper, force fed.
Yeah.
I typically, when I play, I don't go out with pods. I really just go out with the hopper. So I'm quite controlled in my play.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think I'd have some skill at MagFed, but I tend to find, I shoot some balls, attack, shoot some balls. Oh no, I've run out and I forgot to change my bag. And now I'm standing out in the open, attacking with no balls. And I think actually that's kind of that's part of the skill. Actually,
yes,
is counting your shots.
Yes,
and that's part of, I think the really good players they're keeping a mental track. And changing out their megs regularly and not shooting too often. I mean,
face it, when you're playing with a hopper, you reload when you can hear it you can hear it, the sound of the balls. You instinctively know it's time to put some more in there.
Yeah. Or even if it's just rattling around, you kind of, when you use gear regular, you kind of become accustomed to the sort of noises that it makes. So if you can hear the paint rattling around inside the hopper, oh, hang on, it's time for to get close. And the simplicity of using things like, well, that's it, MagFed markers don't rattle. But when you're using a hopper and you know that it's getting low, you can just pop a pod and stick it on the top. And even if there's too much, as long as you're still shooting, it'll fill in, and then you just put your pod away. Now you can do that with the box mags and stuff, or some box mags, but you can't do that with a normal MagFed marker.
So some mags have a little plastic window, so you can see where the balls are in the mag.
Some do, yes.
I think the Die Dam does that. I'm not 100% sure. Gassie's just put, thank you for a great answer.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it's kind of an open class. I mean, at Sweden last weekend, the De Beer guys were down, and one of the De Beer clan comes out in a camo suit. So it's a business. It's a suit. It's in camo with a tie, matching tie, and shoes. Sometimes even carrying a briefcase. And I noticed. You're laughing, but I'm being serious. He does.
Oh no, I believe it. I think it's brilliant. I love it. That's it. I love stuff like that.
And he has what was he using at the weekend? He was using looked like an Ego 11 or something like that. Yeah, blue and gold. And he had a little adapter on the top, and it allowed him to put, I think it was T15 mag he was putting in the top of it, something like that.
Yeah.
So he was still using mags, but with his electro marker.
Yeah.
Different.
So it's again, as a photographer, I'm in the unique position that I get to observe games as a spectator firsthand. So what I see with this is no criticism. This is just an observation.
Yeah.
It's just how they play out. When I'm looking at recreational woods balls games, scenario games, there's a lot of because I think these players know they've got lots and lots and lots of paint.
Yes.
There's lots of heavy fire. Just ramping on and firing lines of paint out, and putting a lot of paint down. Basically, a lot of paint. Whereas, and so what you tend to get actually, and we'll see this at Paintfest, I'm sure this weekend, is that the red and the blue side come together, and then there's this kind of no man's land between them. And I can be out there taking photos. Then I feel like I need a break. I can go away for 20 minutes, have a sit down and drink, come back, and it's not really moved very much. It's still in about the same sort of place.
It'll be a few meters in either direction, but
it might have moved a few meters that way and a few meters that way, but no more than 10 meters. In MagFed, by contrast, I go out for a 20-minute break and come back, and it's just like, where's everyone gone?
Yeah.
Because the front line will have moved completely because the fluidity, because there's less paint in the air, there's a lot more fluidity in the play. Yeah. Players are moving around a lot more, and a few players get shot out, and that it's a lot more fluid. There's a lot more movement. So over the course of a day, you can see that front line, if you like, that no man's land, it shifts back up and down the field like this all the time. And I think for the players, they get to play a lot of the space. And for me personally, as a spectator, it's actually really interesting, especially since I'm photographing it. I'm getting different backgrounds all the time. The environment is always different in terms of what I'm photographing.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, Rich. I mean, you tend to, I mean, in my personal experience, tend to see a traditional scenario event. If the line does move, it's because there's 2 or 3 people have managed to sneak round the side or and just broken the line a little bit, and then it allows it to move a bit, but it doesn't move a massive distance.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I could imagine Magfed, it does move around a lot because it only takes 1 or 2 to be hit, and it means that you've got a lot, percentage-wise, a lot less firepower, as it were, to hold a position.
But yeah, I think that I mean, basically, I would agree with everything that's just been said there. And if you actually look at tournament paintball, you go back years and years, and if you look at some like the early sort of tournament footage, people were making massive runs because the markers couldn't fire particularly high rates of fire. And there was then the sort of the arms race where markers were getting to be as fast as they could. There was even some tournaments where they were literally uncapped. And then it seemed like they went, right, we're going to, I think it was sort of like the NPPL or PSP where they went, right, 15 balls a second. And people were playing at 15 balls a second, and everything was stagnant. They reduced the size of the fields and they reduced it down to like 5-man events, but you got your initial players in the bunkers, and then everyone can just stop there, waited and lower like a whole load of kills up, and then they'd move. And then you had things like the Millennium where they dropped it down to 10 balls a second, and you saw more movement. Now it's still same size fields, but more movement. And then you see stuff like Magfed that's popped up, and where you've got very, very slow rates of fire, unless you want to empty your whole load in one go. Yeah, exactly.
Bing, bing.
And you're seeing a lot more movement. But it's the same if you watch some pump games, or specifically like stock class games, like when people upload videos of those, there will be massive amounts of movement because I've seen videos where somebody will be chasing somebody down. And there's one clip that stands out in my mind where it's a guy being chased down and his mates shouting surrender, and they've only got like PGPs or something, and his mate shouts never and then gets shot in the back. And they're literally running through the woods, and they're not that far away from each other because you can't risk taking the shot and missing. So they're getting closer together. They're actually moving together and they having loads of fun that way. So yeah, it's the slower the rate of fire, the more movement you'll see, and I think the more movement you have, the more players can do stuff. You can make those good moves and they be like an action hero for 30 seconds. You dive over a bunker and there's a blaze of gunfire and stuff, and then it kind of slows down again, and everyone starts actually gunfighting seriously.
Did any of you watch the Tipman challenge that they were doing? It wasn't that long ago on YouTube. I thought that was really good. It was like a tournament style based game, but with the mag-fed guns in a more mag-fed environment. And they were interviewing the team. It was like 2-man teams, and they were interviewing the players, and Tipman had looked like they'd put a lot of money into it. I think they did about 6, maybe 7 episodes on YouTube.
Something like that, probably.
It was really good.
Yeah, and I would like to see them continue that, because you're seeing these teams. No, it's only a team of 2, but you're seeing them doing like big dashes across the field and stuff. And you had lads that were running sort of akimbo setups, or there'd be people that were shooting things like TCRs and stuff.
Well, it was Tipman, wasn't it? So you had they had TCMs, they had the TCRs, or they had the pistols. Was it the TPXs? But I really enjoyed it, especially the way the format and everything that they put out. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it really was. It was a good series to watch. And I would really hope that they bring some more out. Just seeing here, we've got Artwood in the chat there. Hello there, Artwood. Thank you very much for dropping in. He says he plays often as Magfed against Speedball. It forces you to move closer, as you can't risk missing the first shot in fear of being obliterated by a hopper. And that's totally true. And it's one of those things. Like, I had the same sort of attitude when I was playing stock class. You've got to make sure that those shots count.
Exact same reason why I enjoy pump.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
It's when you got someone.
Artwood, Craig. Next game I'll bring my Ego 11, mate, and actually I'll give you a fighting chance. I'll bring my Ego 9 and my Gyro. All right, mate.
I take it there's some history there, is there?
You've seen me play.
Artwood said he's been here from the start, by the way.
Well, thank you very much for being here. And thank you very much to everyone that's actually tuned in. We've currently got 14 people watching, and thank you very much, guys. Nah. There's no bushes in Sunny Bridge either.
Yeah, because I get close and I hide in the bushes and I wait. I wait. That's what
Just gotta play the waiting game.
I wait and wait till you're really close, until it's a really clear shot. I don't even let the leaves get in the way. And then when I got a nice clear shot at the back of you, that's it. It's all over. Anyway, enough about my playing style.
Yeah. But right, so funnily enough, this is one that I believe both me, Colin, and Artwood have actually been involved with over the past couple of days. But we're getting, I think I'll broach the topic of some of the conversations that have been happening on some of the Airsoft pages that the three of which are all on. And there was somebody broached the topic of safety, marker safety, or gun safety in the safe zones.
It was a post along the lines, because the standard procedure for Airsoft, I don't know if anyone's who's listening or whatever is aware, but the standard procedure for Airsoft, when you come into the safe zone, is mags out and fire a few shots to clear any that are residue in the gun. That is it. So there's no mag in the gun, theoretically, there's no BBs left in the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And
Theoretically.
Now, from an Airsofter's point of view, that is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And the lad who originally put the post up, his concern was because when they were playing at the site where they were, he never mentioned what the site was or anything, that there were a team of MagFed players, or a bunch of people playing MagFed paintball.
Mm-hmm.
They were coming into the safe zone and they'd still got mags in, still got the bottles on, and just put a barrel sock on.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people commenting on the post saying that can't be safe. How is that safe? There was a lot of name calling of paintballers, and
as there always is any time paintball gets mentioned on an Airsoft page.
Yeah,
using a barrel sock was considered unsafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just taking the mag out and firing a shot off is considered to be perfectly safe.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Rich?
So let's think about the practicality of that. Actually, if you were using an electromarker with a hopper, and you'd have to take the hopper off, force-fed hopper, you'd have to turn that off first, then unlever it, pop it off, then fire out. I mean, think of the number of people that forget to turn it off and it just spews balls all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I did that a couple of times when I'm packing up to go home. Forget that it's on, buff, and there's the paint all everywhere.
Yeah. It's not practical for an electro marker. For a mag-fed marker, if you've just loaded the mag in, why do you want to... I mean, if you, other than the RAP 4468, which has a mechanism to trap the last ball in, withdraw the mag, then you just dump all your mag. It's going to jump a load of your balls. Your balls are going to drop, aren't you? So, pardon, ding ding.
You walked into that
one. So it's not. I don't think it's practical in paintball to empty out. And so it's become a practice that you put a sock on it.
Yeah.
Okay? And the socks are obviously tested. I mean, I remember seeing a video from Leds of Planet Eclipse testing a Planet Eclipse sock. He just was basically firing balls into it, shot something like 2,000 balls. And I mean, the rule is supposed to be if you fire one ball into a sock, you're meant to change that sock. Okay.
Yeah.
Who does that? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's the same with if you get shot in the lens.
I'll be
honest,
if you get shot in the lens from a foot away, you're meant to, or 5 feet away, you're meant to change the lens, aren't you?
Yeah.
I was though, I will admit that when I first saw that the other day, that I didn't know that because no one had ever told me.
What? About changing the sock?
Yep.
Oh.
House phone. Someone will get it.
But
because I say I can remember seeing. I think it was either HK Army or the Exalt rubber barrel stocks. I can remember. Was it Ansgear did a test video?
Right.
They literally emptied a hopper into a barrel stock, and the only problem being that the spatter that came back out of it as they were shooting covered them.
Yeah. I've seen the same video. It was NSK.
Yeah. Well, I think for safety, I think we've all seen videos where, like it'll be a tournament player that they get the 10 seconds and then game on, and they've still got the barrel sock on, and the turn start shooting and realise that they've got the sock on the marker, and they've just covered themselves in paint. The marker's now full of soup, but the sock is still fine. It's still on. It's done its job. It's made sure that there hasn't been a stream of paint gone out. Not exactly what you want at the beginning of a tournament game, but it's done its job. It can't be argued, in my opinion, it just can't be argued that using a sock on your marker is in any way unsafe.
I'm just laughing at what Ben's put. Always put a sock on it. Accidental discharge is a life-changing matter.
Yes. Yep.
That's what your mom said. Paul's just put. That's what your mom said.
I mean, it's practicality for airsofters not to understand the significance of the barrel sock. It's culture, I guess. Airsoft.
Yeah. Well, this
remove mag and fire off. I mean, they're always bragging how 2,000 balls only cost them 12 quid. So,
how can that be? That's what I can't understand. They always go on about they're more realistic. Even if you ask them about Milsim. The airsoft's more realistic, but one of their magazine holds 300-400 BBs, and a mag-fed paintball holds 18.
A high cap M4 mag holds 450.
Yeah,
but their game's more realistic.
Mind to give them more, to be fair on that. You can get low cap mags, yes, but generally low cap mags don't come with the airsoft gun. It'll generally come with either a mid cap or a high cap. And I mean, a high cap is basically having a box mag in the space of the normal sized mag.
Yeah, but then you can get a box mag that's got 2,000.
Yes, yeah, you're putting entire bottles of BBs into one mag.
But actually, that lends weight to what I was saying about airsoft being LARP, because airsoft players that sort of say it's more realistic, the guns are more realistic, they look like real guns, and that's because I've seen some of them are really.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe that exists in real life. They're made just for a marketplace of airsoft, but players who say it's more realistic, that lends weight to my argument that airsoft is effectively LARP. It's live action role. I've got nothing against it. I'm just saying accept it for what it is.
I totally agree. This is it. It's I don't do it myself, but I actually do like the idea of live action roleplay. I like fantasy and all that sort of stuff, and be it military or be it it could be futuristic and post-apocalyptic, or it can be World War II or anything. I love the idea of people dressing up and having fun doing something that they enjoy like that. And I'm not going to diss anybody for doing it. It's why I can't diss MagFed players for playing MagFed, even if it isn't something that I don't particularly have that much interest in doing myself. Because as long as you are having fun, as long as you're enjoying yourself, what right have I got to slag that off?
I mean, I used to love that sort of. I mean, I'm not interested in trying to look like anybody else or anything like that. I used to love all the reenactment stuff, and we used to go to when I was a kid. We used to go to it was a national heritage event that was called History in Action, and this was a full weekend with everything from Romans through to modern day combat. And they had a big arena where they used to have everybody do their little demonstrations and all this sort of thing. But then at the end of the weekend, they had what they termed as the unofficial battle.
Yeah.
Which was every man and his dog was in the arena. So you had Dutch cyclist cavalry charging down a Challenger tank, and Vikings with double swords fending off War II German troops and all this sort of stuff. It was absolutely brilliant. Which that sort of like reminds me of what my experience of airsoft is, because everybody who goes to airsoft at my local club, like you say, they like to get dressed up and look like a certain. They've all got the matching camouflage. They've all got period correct style guns and all this sort of stuff. But some of them War II, some are what Falklands era, some are modern day, some are American, some are German, some are French, or whatever. All playing on the same field.
Yeah. Well, that's another one, isn't it? It's the it's the airsoft's more realistic. Well, in what sort of battle was like a French Foreign Legion officer fighting alongside a GI from from World War II, from like the Americans, or fighting on the same side as a squaddy from Australia or something, and alongside a German SS officer,
Yeah.
It's the individual realism. I get that. There's that, but it's
I remember at PM Fest, what I was really impressed was, I forgot what company it was, but they were saying that one of the pistols that they sold was exactly the same weight as the real thing.
Yes.
Actually stripped down like the real thing, and the police were using it as a training for muscle memory and for as a training purposes to strip strip the gun down, because if they could strip this BB gun down, they could strip the real thing down. Mind, I think he was starting to get a little bit narked with me, because I kept on, every time he would show me a gun, I honestly think he thought he was in for a seal, but every time he would show me a gun, I would go, but does it fire paintballs?
Yeah.
In the end, he gave me a free baseball cap and told me that off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, everyone has their own. I mean, I'm quite not necessarily, I wouldn't say unique, but I'm different in. I would agree that with Rich, where a lot of people who play airsoft, it is LARP for them. It's their version of. I mean, when I go down, I'll play in my paintball camouflage paintball gear most of the time, and I'll carry my airsoft M14 or my Winchester, and I'll run around with it and play exactly the same as I do with normal paintball.
Yeah. But you see, now this is where I've had this conversation before, and I've talked about this before to airsofters. You see, me and you and most of the people that would be listening to this, if we were to go and play airsoft, we'd probably play it along the same sort of lines as we'd play paintball, and would probably be a lot more aggressive than the average airsofter. But it's because what airsofters, the majority of airsofters, are they're obviously they're milsim orientated. We're not, and for the most part, paintballers aren't. And the minority of paintballers being like sort of MagFed players are the equivalent of, in a way, the equivalent of the majority of airsofters, and the minority of airsofters being speedsofters are what are effectively the majority of paintballers.
Yeah. Majorities are sort of swapped round.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that airsofters are going to play the same as MagFed players, because they're still going to be more aggressive, but it's that sort of crossover. People that want realism will go to airsoft because you can get exact 1-for-1s of the vast majority of stuff. People that just kind of want to have fun and shoot each other will generally go to paintball and be more competitive and stuff like that.
The question is really, what's the attraction in paintball for me? And I think, it'd be wrong of me to speak on behalf of you guys or anyone else.
Feel free.
But for me, I think let's be honest. When a paintball hits you, it's a shock.
Yeah.
It's designed to break. They can hurt. There's that initial sting. Yeah. That adds an edginess to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 99% of the time I'm a photographer, but the reason why I'm a paintball photographer and not really an airsoft photographer, aside from the fact that there are loads of people photographing airsoft because airsoft BBs don't really hurt, and they're shot at point blank range, is the thrill. You have to be a little bit crazy to play paintball, and I stand in the middle between a red team and a blue team. But there's a thrill.
Claims they're not a little bit crazy is lying.
There's a thrill in it, and I think that's really what sets paintball apart. And look, I'm going to tell a story now. A month and a half ago at OMG's Ragnarok game. I was just going around chatting to players, and I saw a face that I didn't recognise, and I said, "Oh, you're new. This is your first time at OMG event." And he says, "Well, I've been invited along to play. This is my first time at paintball." And I said, "Oh, really? Oh, what do you normally do at the weekends?" "Oh, I'm normally an airsofter." I said, "Oh, okay then. Be interesting to see what you think of this." Anyway, about midday, I saw again this airsoft about 11:30 in the day. Been out there playing already for about 2 hours, whatever. And I saw him looking really intense and playing really hard. And there was a lull, and I said to him, "How are you enjoying it? Are you all right? How does this compare to airsoft?" He said, "It's intense. It's so intense." And I said, "Oh," I said in a good way. He went, "Yeah."
Police confident.
That was the real realization. I mean, I'm not sitting here as a genius to go, "Hey, it's the pain that makes it interesting." It's that realization in that moment that actually, that's what I think makes people really unique. Is that's that little bit of pain that puts you on edge. And it makes the game really intense. And it's next level.
It's even in the name, isn't it? You can't spell paintball without a little bit of pain. But there is not many players who can just stand and take being shot up. And there's,
apart from Albert.
Albert's one of them. But there's not many players that can just stand and just not be bothered by being shot up. And I've told the story before, and it's one I'll probably tell again numerous times. But I went and tried airsoft once, and I will admit I would go back and do it again. It's something that I would definitely consider doing again, because it was kind of fun. But I snuck up on a guy. I was probably within 2 meters from him, and I had the drop on him. He was shooting one direction, and not the band. So he's shooting off this direction, facing away from us, and I started shooting at him. I was using like an M4 thing on full auto. I'm cranking the wheel underneath because I'd seen this guy cheat throughout the day. I'm cranking the wheel underneath, and I know I had BBs in the mag, so I'm cranking that to make sure that I had constant feed of BBs. And I could see the shots hitting him, and he just turned and looked at us, and just went bang, and then carried on shooting. And it's like, if I had done to him what in paintball what I did to him in airsoft, I have every faith he would have been squealing. And he just looked at us and basically just shrugged off the fact that I was lighting him up on full auto and just shot us. And I put my hand up and walked out and went, "Nah, that's it." I think I played a couple more games that day, and it got to the point where I was just like, what's the point? Because if people aren't taking the hits, and if they can just shrug it off like that, I know that there is some airsoft guns that fire harder and stuff, and there is some nasty shots where I've seen BBs embedded in people, but for the most part, it didn't have any fear for me. It was a fun thing to do in the same way that kind of running around shouting "bang bang" at my friends when I was a kid. It felt kind of the same as that.
Yeah.
If I was doing it with something that actually fired something.
As I say, this is the thing for me. I mean, I think the only reason that I enjoy airsoft as much as I actually do is because the people I go and play with are a club.
Yeah.
It is a club. Everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody cheats because they all know that everyone's going to know who they are, and they'll sort of get, if you do cheat on purpose, because airsoft, sometimes you genuinely won't feel it.
Granted, yes. Yeah.
If you do cheat on purpose and it's obvious that you're cheating on purpose, you will get shunned from the club and speak to you. So you won't bother coming back.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that because it's such a popular club. There's that many players that do play. And it sort of regulates itself without having to do anything.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's why I enjoy playing with them so much, because everybody's there.
Yeah.
And it is, to me, it is almost like going down and playing paintball against punters.
Yeah.
That is, I don't mean it in that much of a derogatory way.
Yeah.
But
you have an advantage.
It feels like that because they're not as aggressive.
Yes.
Well, you know what they say: the one-eyed man in the Valley of the Blind, the one-eyed man is king. Colin.
Richie Wong's put that myself and you, Dex, love getting shot up. We get aroused from it.
That was a dig at you, Colin. You missed it. Never mind.
No, I did hear it. I did hear it. But it doesn't bother me.
Actually, what Richie's just said there actually reminds me of something. When just after North England versus Scotland, when I'd been absolutely playing the slapstick and got absolutely lit up, the site manager where our marshal used to love telling the punters how I loved being shot. He was like, "Oh, he's been shot over 500 times. He absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
If you want to shoot anybody, shoot him. He thinks it's brilliant." And we had a group of rugby players on, and this guy, I think he was a prop half or something. He was huge, and he come up to us and he goes, "I think me and my mates can beat that. Like, how many times you've been shot? 500? Yeah, no problem." Well, just thinking on my feet, I just quit in front of all his mates. I put my arm round him, put the gearest twinge I could put on me, like, "Okay, darling, but I must warn you, it turns me on if you shoot me." And I kissed his cheek. I never got shot once all day. I was like,
but see, I worked 3 sessions at one of the most popular paintball companies in the UK, and in fact, numerous
most popular outside of the company, outside of the community,
outside of the paintball community. Yes,
yeah, we all know who that was. For your sins, Dex. Yeah.
Well, it was the early days, and I was young. I needed money.
That's what she said.
I've probably talked about it before, but talking about the sort of the pain aspect of it, and that can kind of go into sort of to your story, what you're saying, Rich, about the player they played airsoft and then came over to paintball, and it's so intense and getting really excited because there is that thrill of you don't want to be hit, but also it's kind of part of the fun of the game as well. But I was putting out, I had to go around and you're putting armbands on, you're wrapping tape around players' arms and stuff. And I was putting an armband on this player, and he's there with a group of his mates, and he goes, "Oh, so who's better at paintball than me or you?" Me. So you're a rental player who's never played before. Me. I didn't say that, I just said me. And he goes, "All right, how about in the car park then? You're challenging us to a fight because I've said that I'm better at paintball than you." And I just kind of and walked away. And it was I'm taking. I think I was walking back in with one of the groups that I'd had out, and he was in the middle of the pyramids game zone, squealing because he was being shot. He's basically screaming because he's being shot. And you think he's pretty much being shot up by all sides as well. No, you're right. Yeah. So you're the big man I wanted to take us into the car park and beat the shit out of us because I said I'm better at paintball than you. And now you're screaming because you're being shot. And then I've seen tiny lasses, that lasses that there must be like 8 stone, if that, leading charges into battles and loving it because it's that sort of that thrill. Airsoft sounds like an 80s porn film.
No. Dex does Airsoft. Sounds like an 80s porn film. It's what some Ben put. Dex does Airsoft, firing off blanks.
I just. What can I say? What can I say?
It sounds like it's come out of the bargain bucket.
Well, something along the lines of what you said there, Dex. When I was marshalling once, we had some army lads on, and we also had this lady playing, and it was hilarious. At the last game, they wanted to play free for all.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, no problem. And so I told them, basically, if you've had enough, either run out of paint, or if you've had enough, you come stand behind me, and I'll make sure that they don't shoot you. And all the army lads cowering behind bunkers, and this woman's walking around in plain sight, just shooting the army lads left, right, and centre, screaming at them. This doesn't hurt. I've had kids.
Yeah.
And they say these army lads all hiding, cowering, and she's literally terrorising them.
Yeah.
Screaming at the top of her voice, this doesn't hurt, man, stand up, I've had kids.
Have you ever heard the story of Margaret Thatcher in the SAS kill house? Apparently Margaret Thatcher went to sort of visit the SAS, and they're doing training in the kill house. It was basically something that was created by the SAS for the training for hostage situations and stuff. And she sat at a table with one of her aides, right in the centre of the kill house, where the SAS were going to come in, and when they're training, they use live ammunition.
Yes, they do, yeah.
So apparently the SAS storm the building, they come in, sweeping guns out, shooting the targets that are all around them. Apparently Margaret Thatcher just didn't shift. She just sat there. I think she was like, drinking a cup of tea or something, just sitting there. And apparently our aide that was with her is under the table cowering. And I don't know what his name is, but let's say Jeremy. And apparently she just looked at him and went, Jeremy, get up. You're embarrassing us.
Yeah. Yeah. She's actually the only prime minister to do it as well, and she wanted to do it. They were saying no, and she was like, yeah. She actually went in because she watched them doing and then she decided she wanted to sit because normally it's the sergeant major or one of the instructors is sitting there, and she did actually. It was all of the papers at the time in the 80s. And she did. They say I can't remember what aid it was, but it was get up. You're embarrassing me.
I'm not frightened to admit that. I think I would have been in the same position as her aide. I'd have been hiding.
I would have been as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, for all our faults, I think that story in itself is amazing. It's just this idea of just looking at him and going, "Get up, you're embarrassing us." It's just a brilliant story.
Where do you think she got the nickname the Iron Lady from?
Yeah, well, that's unshakable. But I think it's probably something that drifting away from paintball again, but it's probably something that most PMs should go through, so that if they are ever in a situation like that, they know what to expect.
Can't see that happening.
Well, that's the thing. I think there's a couple of there's probably a couple of squaddies who are like, I could just slip here.
With a certain
But let's stay away from
politics,
that sort of
politics.
Yes. So, but yeah, I mean,
I'm laughing. Ben puts the bitch stole my milk.
Yes.
Sorry, that's made me laugh.
Yeah. Actually, when was she in office? Because I can remember having school milk at school when I was a really little kid, but that must have been early 90s. So
I can remember that.
Yeah, it was never cold.
Slightly warm milk.
Yeah.
I know ours was cold. Ours was cold. Mainly because it was kept outside if it was winter.
Yeah, ours was kept outside in the sun.
yours wasn't milk; it was yogurt by the time you.
Yep. But not in like so. We're drifting
back to the safety.
Yes. Yeah,
observation mentioned in airsoft circles. There was another observation mentioned in one of the comments on said post, where someone stated that a paintball wouldn't come out of the barrel with enough force to injure your eye.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yes, this was because once he was given some facts, he quickly realised that actually probably actually worse.
Yeah, it was a little bit a bit of a silly thing for him to see. I think he realised that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he genuinely thought that paintballs didn't come out of the barrel with as much oomph.
That's it. I think he's been aware of the feet per second difference, but he hasn't considered the mass difference.
Yes.
So it's it's only traveling there. Like, you know, an airsoft pellet might be traveling at 490 feet per second or something like that, 450 feet per second or something. But a paintball is only traveling at 280 feet per second. Therefore, it's traveling slower. Therefore, it's going to do less damage. Yeah. But I think I think your metaphor was quite good on that, Colin.
Yeah, my metaphor was basically, think of it this way: an airsoft BB is like a Mini doing 70 mile an hour. A paintball is like a fully loaded Arctic doing 50 mile an hour and hitting the pedestrian. In both cases, the pedestrian's not going to come off very well.
Nope. But yeah.
What I used to do was, if we had problems with someone lifting the mask, obviously we had the 3-strike rule. Lift it the first time, you get shouted at. Lift it the second time, you sit out the next game. Lift it the third time, you're too stupid to play in paintball.
Yeah.
But after about the first or second time, I used to, if it was a school kid, I would sit them down and I would go, right, put your finger in your eye and push. You know, just see how you know, and that hurts. Yeah, I was right. And I used to get the cardboard box for the paintballs. And I goes, right, try and push your finger through that cardboard box. Obviously, they couldn't. And I put the cardboard box on the firing range and put one paintball straight through it. I was right. That's what would happen to your eye. Funnily enough, every time I did that, they never lifted the mask again.
Yeah,
that's a really good way of doing it, actually.
Yeah. If it gets,
because it gives them a physical idea, you know. If you just push on your eye, so try and push your finger through that cardboard box.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes, like, especially when you're dealing with kids, they need something physical to actually see.
Something visual.
Yeah.
Is that like the baby feeding technique when they won't eat the food and they take Teddy and offer it the food and the Teddy won't take the food, so they beat the crap out the Teddy and then offer the food to the kid and they're like, no, I'll eat it now.
Yeah.
And Ben beat me. He's on about Margaret Thatcher saying she was in office from she was in office from 1975 till 1990, but she was Prime Minister from 1979.
Yeah.
He beat me. And yes, he definitely did look that up.
I was born in '89.
Yeah.
Staying with the subject of marker safety, though, it was pointed out a couple of times, and I think it was probably by Colin and also Artwood, that part of the reason that we use barrel socks, it's not just that it is a physical blocking device for the marker, but it's also a physical, a visual way of seeing that a marker is safe. You know, if somebody's walking around in a safe zone with a hopper on and a tank on, in no barrel sock, people are just try walking to a safe zone.
You can't. You'd have every paintballer.
That's it. You have paintballers that will jump on you straight, and I don't mean physically jump on you. I mean obviously metaphorically jump on you. That will jump on straight away. Get a sock on, or it's like is that mark alive? You know, it's like I've even been on sites where it's like, oh no, look, mate, I've literally just teched it. I've rebuilt it from scratch. And like, no, put a sock on it. It's like, but I've literally built it from scratch and I've just put it all together. I haven't put a sock on it. Like, well, fair enough. You have actually got a point. You know, for all intents and purposes, it looks like a real marker. And I've seen rental customers follow suit by, you know, they'll just copy what other people are doing in front of them, and you'll see when there's guys with the normal markers, just, you know, regular players, where they'll just walk straight in the safe zone. And you've got to keep an eye on rental players for just following them, because they're seeing other people with equipment just walking back in the safe zone. You've got to go, whoa, come back. You've got to take the marker off them. Like, no, you only take this part, and you give them the hopper back.
But actually, we're quite strict in the UK when it comes to paintball safety.
Yeah.
So if you see foreign players, I mean, I've seen German players. It seems to be quite popular with German Magfed players to have a half mask.
Yeah.
Where they've actually got the airsoft mesh on.
Yeah.
Which we don't. It's not really allowed.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's frowned upon here in the UK. Saying
Definitely.
that, if we get OMG sometimes attracts foreign players. You know, if a German player comes over, that's what they're used to playing with. They're allowed to play with it because they know the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But if you're an English player and you go, oh, I'm going half mask and I have a grill, it's like, no, that's not acceptable gear. Yeah. But I've also saw. I mean, here's an interesting one. Sweden last weekend. There was a retailer at the event, and they were selling 6.8 cal powder ball. Yeah. Okay. Now, now that was kind of.
I've been shot by powder ball.
Wow, I haven't been shot by it, but I tried breaking one. So, okay, so this is interesting actually, because we were alerted to, or rather, OMG was alerted to the issue because one of the other foreign players brought the powder ball and said, the retailer is selling these.
Yeah.
And I took it and looked at it and tried to squeeze it between thumb and forefinger and could not break it.
Yeah.
Squeezed with all my might. I could not break that ball.
Yeah. Which
is the point at which I got concerned and went, I don't actually fancy the idea of being shot by that.
Yeah.
Curiously, the MFOG guys said, oh yeah, we use them things all the time here.
Yeah.
Now, let's not go too deep into the politics of it. But what I'm really trying to highlight is that outside of the UK, inside the UK, I think we have very stringent rules.
Yes.
We abide by the rules. You know, it's got to be a proper mask that covers the eyes, mouth, ears, and it's got to be a paintball approved mask. Obviously, we've seen some junk Chinese copies coming in on eBay.
On of the chalk ball or powder ball, I have been shot by powder ball.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, it doesn't actually hurt any more than normal paintball. The reason that you can't squash it is because there is no space in it.
Thing is, though, is that
it's a hard shell. If you tapped it on a bench fairly hard, not saying like really hard, but if you tapped it on a bench, you're more likely to break it that way than you are by applying a pressure.
Yeah. The thing is, though,
the shock impact that does it.
Colin, was when you were shot with that, by any chance, was that at the mall game?
Nope. No, that was at Combat Zone.
Right. Because I was wondering if it had been the mall game, I thought that may have been at a lower velocity, so therefore may have been like sort of comparable. But
no, that was full velocity.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, Jules, who runs Combat Zone, got some in to try.
Yeah.
Try them with punters or anything. He got them in to try because just to see what they were like. And there was a few of us that were down playing as a walk-on, but sort of like six of us off on our own field. And he said, "Look, take some of these, give it a try, see what you think." and the accuracy of them is incredible.
Yeah, because it's perfectly round. It's perfectly round.
Well, it's not even so much the fact that they're perfectly round. They're like a golf ball. They have dimples in the shell.
Oh no, these ones didn't. These ones.
Right.
These were smooth.
Ones we had were like they were like a golf ball. They had all dimples on the outside.
Right. Okay.
Well, if you think about
absolutely beautifully.
Well, what I was to say is that's probably down to the fact of if they are completely full, there's it's powder. Powder isn't really going to move around all that much, and even if a paintball is full, you are it's like basically trying to fire a water balloon. You've got it's not necessarily how thick the shell is or anything like that. It's the liquid inside of it. And if you watch a water balloon in slow-mo, the liquid is moving around inside, and that's exactly it. Now that can happen, and it's partly one of the reasons why you'll see some bad paint will wing off in just random directions. Because part of it is if there is the airspace in the ball, that can cause the paint to move around a bit inside, and there's a few factors, but that can contribute to it.
Yeah, I mean, they are absolutely fantastically accurate. My only concern with them would be the fact that if you were to be hit in the lens, say, on a back or a faceplate or anything, with powder, because when they go off, it's like a mini smoke bomb going off. It's just like a poof of powder, and you were to breathe it in, you are going to have some serious coughing from it, because at the end of the day, it is an atomized powder.
What I would, go on.
The fact that it would go through, as all masks do, they have the venting across the top to allow air to come out. If you were to get some to go down there and get it in your face, it would do that relative to what a paintball would, because it will just float down through the gaps.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, that's what powder ball are designed to do. They're designed to be breathed in stuff, and you can get things. They're used in law enforcement for pepper ball.
Yeah, pepper ball. You beat me to it. I was going to say in America they use the pepper ball.
But
the biggest problem we found is we had a couple of lads had breaks in the gun after having had a paintball break in the gun.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. If in effect,
talcum powder with water, lovely mixture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally turned it into like a grinding paste inside it.
Oh.
Artwood has asked were the powder balls in Sweden white and blue, and to answer his question, yes, they were actually, and going on to following on from what you're saying there about First Strike having made some, and they smell of baby powder. Yeah, these were what they were. But the moment that OMG was alerted to this, it did actually seek some advice and did actually contact First Strike in the US. And the answer was, you can use them for shooting at each other. We wouldn't recommend it.
Well,
which is a diplomatic way of saying, well, now somebody's using it, carry on, but don't in future.
Yeah,
is the way
do you not think that's a bit akin to how paintball started though? I mean, paintball was started with markers that were designed for shooting trees and for shooting cattle, and somebody went, "I can shoot my mates with this." That's what
basically
people do. I could cause my mate some pain with this. So I'm going to do it.
Yeah, well, 25, 30 years ago in the UK, if you went to play paintball, then it was obviously with a Splatmaster, which you had to unscrew the back, load one ball in, screw it up, pop. And of course, everyone was playing with just
science goggles.
It wasn't called paintball back then, though. It was survival game.
It was the national survival game,
Yeah, no one hit anyone.
Oh no, people hit each other.
No, because I remember.
I
remember a girl coming into sort of school on Monday with a huge, great fat lip, and it was blue because she'd taken one right there. That was horrendous. That was a horrendous hit.
I remember seeing there was a thing on. It might still be on YouTube where they did like a publicity thing, and they had a tournament team versus a SWAT team, and the SWAT team all just had the goggles on, no bottom half. Against it was one of the. I'm going back like in the 2000s. It was one of the real big teams back then, like Nexus, something like that. Yeah, went up against Miami SWAT. And I was like, oh, God, if they get shot in the face, because they would literally just had, and I don't think they dared tell them, like, really, you should have the full face mask on.
Yeah. Well, chances are they're probably geared that we've trained with real gear. We can handle these toys.
Probably, yeah. Actually, but, the paintball team wiped them off the field because.
Yeah. But, you're saying that about, like, the military, the SWAT team going up against paintballers. Well, I've said about it before, but you can probably find it if you look hard enough. That clip online where it was the German police raided the tournament in Germany and just ran onto the live field, like while they're playing, and then started confiscating guns.
Not
live player.
I wouldn't say I was scared. But I was very wary of shooting these guys. I remember one time when one of the Scottish Warriors turned up with 20 Gurkhas.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you know the Gurkha, they carry them knives all the time.
Yeah.
And they were playing paintball. I didn't shoot them. I was thinking they might forget where they are. I was like, I'm going to end up with my head chopped off here. I didn't shoot them. That was at YPC. It was Tony Lindsay. He turned up with 20 Gurkhas. I was like, whoa. It's like, I'm not playing against them. I was like, I felt like a rental. You know, when a rental player sees a Tory guy, I'm not playing against him.
Funnily enough, it's if all that's there is rental players. Also, if it's rental players and a tournament player turns up, then the rental players don't want to play with a tournament player. But if a Magfed player turns up wearing like sort of all of the Milsim gear and all that sort of stuff, in my experience, quite often it's like they'll be in awe of the Magfed guy and they won't want to play against him, but they'll be fine to play alongside the tournament guy, even though the tournament guy is probably the one that it will in most cases have like the firepower over the Magfed guy. It's funny. It's like they see the military gear and think it's intimidating.
Yeah,
sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way.
Like say where I'm Marshall, they will let own gunners play against the rentals, and you say, oh, look at him, because he got a Magfed player. I says, no, the guy you want to watch out for is him with a ray gun. If it doesn't look like a real gun, that's what you got to watch out for.
The one with the ray gun that's in bright green clothes.
Yeah, him who's running around looking like a Power Ranger with a ray gun. That's the guy you got to worry about.
Yep.
I actually quite like playing a Planters Day, and I on purpose. So some in my day job.
Rich.
Pardon?
Is that the only time you can win?
Shots fired. Shots fired.
It is.
I've got to get my own back.
In the Valley of the Blind, the one-eyed man is king. Exactly, that is me on a Planters Day, without a doubt. No, but I do. I might in my day job. Sometimes my clients invite me. They say, "Oh, you do paintball, don't you? My son's going to have an 18th birthday party. Come along."
Yeah.
And I do put on all the Eclipse tournament gear. And roll up. But I use the site marker invariably because it's at a Delta Force site and they don't want you to use anything else.
Oh no.
So you end up using an Inferno often. But just wearing the outfit, I mean, people are sort of, what are you wearing? I'm wearing paintball gear, and they are intimidated. Then you run around shooting them. They're just scared of you anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes people even go, "You've got a bag of guns." I've got exactly the same gun as you. Do you want mine, and I'll have yours?
Yeah.
And I've even swapped in the past with people because they think in some way my gun is better. I'm using exactly the same rental equipment.
Yeah, I mean, I've been approached by a few people at work saying, "Oh yeah, you like paintball? You ought to organise a paintball day for us all," and all this lot. And you get a few people like that, but the vast majority go, "Oh no, you play paintball. I'm not playing against you. I'm not playing with you. No, not playing with you." So, well, I won't be playing with in the same way as I would normally. I'd be
Tony
I would. I just want to decimate them all.
Tony back.
Well, to be fair,
in all seriousness, yeah.
We had a manager at one stage that had come from another. He had been tasked with coming over to take some of our work away.
Yeah.
He was doing his job, which is fair enough, but he'd been brought over to take some of our work away, which would have meant people losing their jobs and whatnot, but he was that incompetent he couldn't manage it anyway, so in the end it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But with the way our work works, we get every year there's 30 quid a head for everybody to go out and do something. Usually it ends up being at Christmas for a meal or whatever. Bear in mind, everybody hated this guy, seething hate.
I decided to go paintballing.
I suggested that we went paintballing, and everyone was, oh no, I'm not doing that. I just said to him, you hate the guy, forget the game, just chase after him.
Yeah.
And they're all like, oh no, I'm too old for that, or oh no, I can't be bothered with that.
Yeah.
Just go for a meal with him instead.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you're going to go for a meal with the guy you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I mean, in the factory that I used to work in, I had a lot of people. When I was kind of new to paintball, and I was obsessed. Every single conversation was about paintball. Even people would walk in, like a wagon driver would walk in to drop something off. I'd be like, "Have you ever been to paintball?" I was obsessed.
And everybody goes through that stage. Now you just wait till somebody mentions it, then you just pounce on them.
Yeah. That's it. I lurk and wait.
Yeah. Did I hit paintball?
Oh, I'm going paintballing this weekend. Oh, you're going paintball? Yeah, do that.
Yeah. So I was there was a few people that said like, oh, you play paintball. It's like we should set up a day and we should go. Like, if you put up a thing, we'd be definitely up for going and playing. It was like, well, if people are interested in playing, then I stuck up a notice on the notice board. Says that if anybody is interested in coming and play, contact Dan on security. And I had one person wrote their name down and then crossed their name out. And I left it up for like 2 weeks or something, and there was no one else put their name down. I even mentioned it to people, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'd love to," and then just never bothered. Screw yous and took it down. What's the point?
like I say, you get the two extremes at work. You get the ones who are like kind of keen to say, "Oh yeah, we should organise a works day. It'd be fun and all this lot."
Yeah,
and then. Or there's loads of people who'd be interested, and then they find out that it's me that's organising it, or I'll be there, and they're like, "No, we're not going now."
What you need to do is use an alias. Or say you can't make it, and then on the day just be like, "Oh, I didn't realise you were coming to this site."
Yeah.
An alias like Khan. Put yourself Khan, as in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. Kaiser Sose.
Kaiser Sose, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the only problem is like kind of contact Khan on my personal email address with my name in the email address. Not going to work.
Set up a dodgy email. It takes like seconds.
Like you say, I used to get that all the time. Now, if anyone ever says about going paintball, and I always say, "Yeah, you organise it, and I'll go."
Yeah,
because I got that sick of people like, "Oh yeah, I'm going," and "Oh yeah, I'm going," and then like you say, one person putting the name on the bottom of the list.
Or you organise it. There's loads of you up for going, and then it actually gets to the day, and there's only you turns up.
Yeah, that's happened as well. Yep.
People are laughing at the fact I said Dan in security. It's like, yes, I worked security. I wasn't working doors. I didn't need to be intimidating. I just need to be there and watch the cameras. What can I say?
Paul Crossfoot, you're not obsessed by paintball. You've got 2 live streams, a Facebook page, YouTube page. You do T-shirts.
Which you haven't plugged yet. Well, now that you mention it, there's a link in the description to my merch. No, there isn't actually in the description for this one. But I'm pretty sure if anybody wants to buy any of my merchandise, it's in links in other videos and stuff. If anyone wants it, you can find it yourself.
Dan.
Wednesday night, I'll plug it.
Rich is looking rather chilled there.
Yeah.
You're going to be asleep in a minute by looks.
No, I'm fine. I could talk all night if you want, but I'm giving you not a chance.
Well, no, that's what we've got you on for. Feel free to talk. Although I suppose it is getting on a bit, and I really should kind of go to bed before long. Well, I think it was the first.
I've still got most of my popcorn.
Right, well, we'll keep it going for a little bit longer than Colin.
Was it the first one? Was like nearly 1 a.m?
What's the next topic? Do we have another topic? Do we have another? We're talking about safety.
Well, okay. Something that was mentioned on Behind the Bunker. Apex barrels and flatline barrels, are they now obsolete because of First Strike, or do you think there's still a place for them in paintballing?
I would definitely say there's a place for the Apex barrel.
I wouldn't say that obsolete.
Not so much, but the Apex definitely.
Well, I think it depends on. I mean, obviously, we've drifted away from the subject of safety, and that's obviously fine. But if we're talking about that, no, in my opinion, no, they're definitely not obsolete. I think there's a lot of people that have gone away from using the flatline barrel.
Yeah, I'd say they're out of fashion.
Pardon?
Out of fashion.
Out of fashion.
Yeah, it's out of fashion, and I would say that it's probably the same with the Apex. But then again, are either of those actually even made anymore?
The Apex is. The Apex is still made.
All right. Well, I think it's probably because people know if they want to get extreme range now, they'll shoot First Strike, and that's perfectly fine.
Doesn't shoot round corners.
True.
Yeah, that's the way Apex barrel was always told to me, is that it shoots around a corner. My problem is I always had it turned the wrong way, so it's shooting around the other corner. I could never make it go the way I wanted it to go.
Yeah. That's the thing.
The thing that tells you before you use an Apex barrel is actually when the ball leaves the barrel, it goes the wrong way, and then curls back round again.
Curls on it. Yeah.
Most people think that it's going to shoot straight out the end and then curl, but it doesn't.
It takes an S, doesn't it?
The side and then curls in.
Yeah, Artwood said something there. He's saying there's still a place for them because not everyone can afford First Strike.
Yeah,
true.
Well, the thing is, though, not everyone wants to shoot First Strike. Not everyone wants to sit. I mean, if First Strike were readily available and easily affordable, then yeah, I'm pretty sure that most people would shoot them. It only makes sense. They are more accurate, but at the minute they cost an arm and a leg. I think the only people that can afford to shoot First Strike regular are sponsored players, which I'm not dissing.
Or rich.
How much?
Yeah, well, that's it. Or rich.
A box of First Strike now.
Is it
85 quid for 250?
There you go.
How many? Sorry, how much?
I believe 85 quid for 250. Let me just look on my website, BattleGearUK.com.
Look, feel free to plug your site.
Yeah.
Is that your site?
I'm 50% owner of it. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I keep trying to get away from paintball, and I seem to get more and more immersed.
you know, paintball photography, a shop.
Yeah, and I'm writing the players pack for OM. No, that's not true. I'm designing the players pack for OMG every game. So yeah, I'm more and more involved these days.
Yeah,
more and more involved. So just looking on my shop, BattleGearUK.com. So 250 are £80.
£80.
Yeah, 80 quid.
See, I know that when I know shooting First Strike isn't really comparable, and I'm talking price wise, isn't comparable to shooting.
Dex, we do boxes of 100 as well.
Oh yeah, I know that you can get smaller amounts and stuff, but
at BattleGearUK.com.
Yeah.
On Battlegear UK.
Carry on.
What's that site again? Can you say one more time?
BattleGearUK.com. Yeah, box of 100, 35 quid.
You see, I think where I was going to get at though, I know they're not like for range and anything like that. They're not comparable. First Strike has its hands down when it comes to range, but it's when it comes to
He's got less hair. Artwood, Soho 52, the paintball equivalent to Alan Sugar.
But
I bet he wishes.
Yeah, I think I've driven whatever it is he's in the back of.
That's it. Paul says, do you do singles so that I can actually play with First Strike as well? But yeah, so it's here in that like 250 First Strike are 80 quid. That sounds really bad. But I understand, it's the same sort of thing of like when you hear an airsofter says, "Oh, well, I can buy 7,000 BBs for 6 quid." Like, yeah, but you might use all of those in one day's play. I'll only use 2,000 paintballs shooting a round ball, and it's because that's all I need. I don't need to be constantly on the trigger firing 30 shots a second. But then the same argument then goes again for First Strike. A player who's bought 100 First Strikes might only use 100 First Strikes in a full day's play. So they've spent the same amount, roughly, as I have buying a full box, but they're still getting their full day's play. And I think that there is a bit of a misconception there of like First Strikes being these things that are completely out of a player's price range when they're not that bad. But if you want to shoot a bit more, then yes, you're never going to be able to afford, unless you are like a multi-millionaire, you're never going to be able to afford to like buy the equivalent number of First Strikes and just blast those off. We don't even have the technology to be able to do that yet, unless you're carrying ridiculous amounts of mags.
At OMG events, the only people using First Strikes are snipers, and the number of snipers in a game is limited anyway. Yeah. And that's generally because of the locations that OMG are choosing. They're not using their own site, and they're using other people's sites. And some of them are MOD, which need to be returned in the way that they were found.
Yes.
Some of them are actually normally owned and operated by airsoft companies, and airsofters don't like getting their costumes, their uniforms, dirty.
That's sure.
So actually, the round ball is often opaque, or it might be a white shell. So the only people using actually the First Strike are actually the snipers.
Yeah.
So it's quite limited use actually.
Yeah.
The amount of First Strikes in use. So if you're somebody that wants if you go to your local Woods Ball site and you shoot First Strike, and you can afford to, then fine, you can. But at an OMG event, it's only the snipers that will be shooting First Strike.
Yeah. The one thing I will say on the whole 5,000 BBs for a tenner or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There is a difference though, because I didn't realise this until I started playing and started talking to people who play airsoft. Obviously, BBs come in different weights.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Your basic ones start at 0.2 of a gram per BB, and they go up 0.25, 0.28. When you start getting up into the heavier BBs at sort of 4.4s, 0.46s, the prices of those end up more expensive than paintball.
Yeah.
Because you're talking...
They'll be used by snipers, aren't they, though, a lot of the time, aren't they?
Yeah. The heavier BBs are used by snipers, and you're talking sort of 30 quid for a pot with 100 in.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
On sort of like, there's a pot with 1,000 ins, 30 quid for the sort of like the 0.4s or whatever. So you're getting onto paintball prices, and if not First Strike prices, even for sniper grade BBs.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's I'm pretty sure all of you will be familiar with Novrich.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does make some good videos. Well, Novrich actually sells his own brand of BBs, and as I understand it, they're actually reasonably expensive. And again, you only get them in smallish amounts.
And he's now just launched his own exclusive barrel diameter.
Yes. And this is it. Apparently, it was the early 90s where they tried an 8mm BB and it failed. Well,
it was the 8mm BB was used primarily in replicas of 50 cals.
Yeah.
So shell-ejecting Barretts, intervention rifles, that's anything that would have in real life had 50 cal. They tried a few of them with 8 mil.
Yeah.
Well, if you're literally only having 2 or 3 guns in the whole plethora of thousands of different guns that use 8 mil instead of 6, it's really going to take on.
Well, this is it.
Guns are several £1,000 relative to a 200 quid.
Yeah. Well, this is it. This was for this was where the 8 mil were brought out, and it flopped. It flopped badly, as I understand it. You can still get your hands on them, but they're not common. They're not in widespread use or anything.
It's very hard.
Kind of. I think it would be kind of comparable to getting your hands on an SMG 60 and having to use 60 cal paint, not 68. It's like you can get 60. You can get SMG 60s.
Yeah, it's 60 cal anyway.
What was that? Sorry, Colin?
We're nearly down to 60 cal anyway. The size of the paint
now we are. But at the time, you had 60. There was the SMG 60. They then went to 68 cal, and 68 cal became the industry standard. Now it would be kind of like trying to get your hands on, or getting your hands on an SMG 60 now, and then going, well, where can I buy 60 cal paint? Like, you can get it, but apparently it's only made in like limited runs, and you've got to buy quite a lot of it to then use over years.
You've got to wait till the unicorn poops it out, haven't you?
Yeah, basically. Now, so that's the equivalent of like getting your hands on an 8 mil BB gun. Well, Novritsch has just launched. Is it like a 6.8 mil BB?
6.44.
6.44. So it won't fire through a normal BB gun because it's too big. But he's saying that, oh well, increasing the size means you can fire it at a lower velocity, but it'll still fire roughly the same range because it's a heavier BB. And I actually worked with a lad who was into airsoft, and he was playing yesterday, and he was saying that he was talking to people about it, and they're all saying it's going to fail badly because people don't want to have to invest in a new bore size because they've already got all the gear, they've already using it in industry standard.
Into one supplier of BBs.
Yeah.
And it's only available for 2 sniper rifles, which is Novritsch's own.
Yep.
That he sells.
Yeah.
So it's a proprietary BB, it's a proprietary barrel, proprietary hop unit, proprietary mag. So it's a lot of investment into one person.
Yeah, to see in that's something that may fail. It's a bit along the lines of like when 50 cal kicked off in paintball, and everyone basically went, "No, we've already got our gear. I'm not buying new stuff to use a new type of ball."
50 cal has found its place.
Yes, it has. Yeah. Well,
ironically,
Magfed, if 50 cal's found its place in low impact punter sites,
for getting kids into it at an earlier age,
or to be able to, like you say, to get younger kids in instead of having to be limited to, I'm not sure what is the age limit for 68 cal.
12, I believe.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bring the low impact. You can bring in the younger. I think is it 8 for
something like that,
low BZ impact? It's 10.
10, I thought.
Yeah. 10. BZ is 10.
Smuggle 8-year-olds in, don't they?
10
10
to 13-year-olds is 50 cal. 13-year-olds up over is normal pinball.
Yeah,
I was trying to ask you, Richie, but I couldn't get a word in edgeways, so that's why I just put the link up. I've been trying for the last couple of minutes because I can see the lads saying that they couldn't get on your website, but I couldn't get a word in edgeways.
Just drop the www.
So just going back to the whole sort of the bore size thing, I was talking to me mate at work, and I was saying he should just get his hands on some Reball and do a parody video. Just, what's up, guys? And paintball marker. I've got this new airsoft gun, and it fires these solid BBs that are 68 caliber, and that if you crank the velocity up, they fire just as far as airsoft bullets.
Well, I did actually have the idea of going to an airsoft game with a paintball marker with reballs and just say it's like it's large caliber airsoft.
The thing is, as long as you're firing within the safe boundaries, then you could, I suppose. It'd be bloody expensive, mind, but you could do it.
Yeah, no one would want to get shot by it either.
Well, they shouldn't be playing airsoft, then, should they? I would say, as Novritsch is a genius, though, fair play. If he never existed, he doubts airsoft would be as popular as it is today. The last airsoft event he filmed, there was about 4 Novritsch sniper rifles and pistols. You know, it's I will grant it that Novritsch,
very businessman, very clever businessman.
Mm-hmm. That's it. He has done incredibly well, but I think this whole, depending on how much money he has actually put into this 644 BB. It could go either way, and it could either make or break him. If people take it on, then it could change airsoft completely into paintball with solid projectiles, and and it could actually be a totally different game, almost like a lot different anyway, and it could make him a hell of a lot of money. However, depending on how much money he's put into this, and if he's put a lot of sort of research into it, and he's actually started producing stuff, it could break him. But
yeah, I mean, the video when he was talking about it, it sounds like he's not just gone, Rhino, well, we'll make our own proprietary system and thrown random numbers at it. There is a lot of science and maths and everything gone into it.
Yes.
There is a few people have come out, since it's come out, have looked at the maths and said it's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something to be said for things being calculated in theory don't always translate to practical tests.
Yes.
If you try something practically, sometimes you get a different result to what the theory's been telling you for ages.
Yeah.
I frankly think the whole thing's a marketing stunt. He's got massive reach. He's got massive reach. He is the most watched airsofter in the world, is he not?
I believe it's like 2 million subs or something.
He's at 2 million now, right? Okay, so I
think
0.6, I think actually.
He could have just brought out T-shirts and he'd have made a fortune.
Well, this is
he brought out a sniper rifle because that's what he's passionate about, and everyone wants to be Novritsch, don't they?
Yeah. Novritsch has actually got a sniper rifle and a pistol out, and as well as having his own BBs and other merchandise.
Yeah,
and he probably makes a lot of money from doing that. He is actually, like Colin says, a very smart businessman.
Yeah, Artwood's put on the estimated earnings just off his YouTube channels between 17k and 276k a year.
Yeah. Right,
he's got 3.8 million subscribers.
Yeah. Right. If you want to work out what somebody's just off YouTube, what their estimated earnings are, I can only tell you what my rough earnings were when I actually had my channel monetized for that very short period it was.
Minus.
No.
You were paying them, weren't you?
Yeah, I was paying them for the host my content. No, for roughly every 1,000 views, I was getting £1. And at the time, I was not getting very many views. So I've said before, I made, in the entire time I had my channel monetized, I made £3. And I can't even withdraw it.
That's £3 more than you've made than me though.
For 1,000 views is £1.
Roughly every 1,000 views was £1 when I had my channel monetized.
His last video talking about his new airsoft standard has 127,000 views.
Yeah.
Today alone, he's getting another
previous gameplay. His previous gameplay video has 244,000.
Yep.
But one thing I will say is because it is airsoft and because everything he is using looks like real guns.
Oh, yeah.
What are the chances that YouTube have demonetized a lot of his videos?
Good chance.
You see, now I don't know on that. Now I had a theory for why.
Because I watch Demo Ranch a lot.
Yes.
And if he shows a gun in any video, he normally ends up getting it demonetized.
Yeah.
If he mentions the word gun in a video, it gets demonetized.
Well, this is when you start looking into like the YouTube algorithm and stuff. Now, there is certain words. The fact that we've sworn in this video at different points, the fact that we've there's been alcohol containers has been shown on screen a couple of times, would mean that this live stream would potentially, this live stream would potentially be demonetized. But it also depends on the frequency that stuff's done. It depends on the context of stuff. The fact that of having guns on a video or anything can be an instant killer if they look realistic. Now, I found when, like I was saying, when my channel was monetized, the moment I uploaded a video, I was getting instant demonetized. You know, you get the little yellow icon instead of the little green icon saying that your video is monetized or not monetized. And if I appealed it, I always got my video remonetized.
Oh, good is the chat. Quickly say with Artwood, we're not saying videos taken down. We're talking demonetized.
Yes. Yeah. But I will also say, I have noticed, and I did an experiment a while ago. You know, you can put your chat, you can put YouTube on. I think it's not the channel. It's like, I don't know what to call it, but in fact, you put like a parental block.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at what Richie wrote.
Richie, yeah, you can.
I'm surprised there wasn't ginger written in there. It would be from him.
Like I said, I'm not sure who it was. I posted earlier on. I saw somebody posting Dungeons and Gingers when we were talking about
that. Was Richie. It was no. Sorry, it was Ben. Dungeons and Gingers.
Yeah, but yes. So I did know. I did an experiment a while ago because there was this whole thing about people's content being hidden if you put YouTube on a certain setting. And it's basically it's like the kind of setting that they use when like in schools, so it doesn't show any dodgy content or any adult content or anything like that. Yeah, and I noticed that like the Hidden Hedgehog, when I checked his channel, most of his content was hidden. Funny enough, the Hidden Hedgehog's content was hidden, but it was the same for my channel. It was the same for a lot of people's channels that hosted sort of paintball content. Because I suppose it's deemed as violent, but I think part of the solution to that is, and I mean it's just my own wonderings, but is it because if it looks realistic, then they take it down or they won't put monetization on? But if it doesn't look real, you know, so like when I'm running around and I might be carrying like a tournament gun or a pump or something like that, that's very visibly not a real gun. That when I've done manual review, which means somebody actually has to sit and look at it and go, yeah, that's safe to watch. I got my videos remonetized, but then if it was say somebody like the Hidden Hedgehog, when he's just running around, it looks realistic. Is somebody looking at that and going, nah, somebody running around shooting things with a real gun? Because you can imagine that somebody at YouTube's not going to sit and watch the entire video, are they? They're going to flick on, have a bit scan through, and go, yeah, this is a game, and then they're just going to remonetize it or demonetize it or whatever needs to be done from that point.
Art was just said his son's iPad has a parental lock on it. He says he doesn't swear in any of his videos, and if anyone does, he beeps it out. But almost all his videos don't show on his.
Yeah. That's the thing. I would not be surprised in the slightest if my channel was exactly the same. But are any of you aware of the crisis that YouTube has had several times recently with children on YouTube? I'm assuming from your silence, you don't know.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Like the Pepper violent videos.
Yes, there was a lot of that sort of stuff. It's been quite common practice for a long time for people to just sit that kid down in front of a tablet and it just goes next video, and just flicks through. And you were having things like there was violent, like people had remade Peppa Pig cartoons that at a quick glance at the beginning you wouldn't notice any different. But then
the thumbnail looks identical, and
and then
title look identical.
Yeah, and then they were horrific things.
Any links?
That's what I was thinking.
But no, I mean, for a little kid, for a toddler, I mean, the things that a toddler shouldn't be seeing. There was then stuff like people making videos while they're dressing as like Deadpool and the characters from Frozen and stuff, and then basically dry humping on beds, and that was in on like the kids' YouTube channel stuff because they were advertising it as like kids' videos because they were aware that they were basically gaming the YouTube system, because they're aware that parents just drop an iPad or something in front of a kid and the kid just sits there glued to it and just watches video. They're not necessarily flicking through themselves, and the kids don't know any different.
The lazy way of parenting.
Yeah, they're just watching Elsa and Deadpool playing, but it's borderline pornographic material. So there was actually a big sort of crackdown on children's content, and there was hundreds, if not thousands, of YouTube channels were taken down because of stuff like that. And a lot of it was stuff that genuinely needed to be taken down, genuinely needed to be taken out of that category. But then there was also a lot of innocent people that were hit at the same time. And this has happened numerous times, and you've maybe heard of things like the Adpocalypse. There was something offensive seen on one video, so several different news companies, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, jumped on PewDiePie because he said a few rude words in some videos, and there was this massive Adpocalypse. There was a lot of YouTubers lost a hell of a lot of money because one YouTuber said a rude word, and there was another instance where they had a black rapper used the N-word, and there was I think an advert for Toyota on the beginning of that video, and they used that as an example of why YouTube is racist. Therefore they try to get all these different companies to pull out of YouTube doing advertising.
I know I've watched a few Postman Pat ones where they do over the top of it and he swears the funnies out.
Yeah. But that's the thing, there was stuff like that was being put in on kids, genuinely in with the kids' content.
The thing with those videos is they're titled as Pat's Worst Day, and it's explicit, contains swearing, all this in the title.
Yeah.
The other ones were Pat has lovely day and makes friends with everyone.
Yeah, they were labelled like what you'd expect from, or some of them were just flat out labelled as genuine Peppa Pig episodes.
Yeah, I know. I
was thinking about that.
Yeah,
this happens.
This always happens. Yeah. But yeah, it's the whole thing about obviously channels being demonetized and being hidden away from view and stuff. I think there needs to be. I don't know how we could do about it, but raising more awareness of, and I've said this before, that we're not all sort of violent, we're not terrorist training or anything like that. We're not a bunch of complete gun nuts that want to go out and hurt people. We're not people. Yes, you're really helping the cause.
Paintball is stigmatized anyway.
Exactly.
It is, yes.
I can tell you, as somebody that's importing product from America, it is an absolute nightmare. Federal Express, if someone senior from Federal Express happens to watch this, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But basically, we have a situation where any product that we bring in through the States, if that manufacturer uses Federal Express US is more than happy to collect the product from the manufacturer or the supplier, put it on a Federal Express aeroplane, fly it to Stansted Airport, because that's where Federal Express International comes into, at which point it grinds to a halt. And then it goes into a process whereby the sender has to be contacted to say, UK Federal Express won't deliver this because it's paintball. Now, I've argued it's sporting equipment, and in fact, in customer service at Federal Express, I've got a named contact there. That's how many times I've had to speak to them. But freely admits, he gets it, I get it. It's just it's harmless. But someone much higher than him has decided, oh no, paintball. That's that's a gun, isn't it? That's guns. We're not having anything to do with guns.
Well, again, I've talked about this before, but can you remember a few years ago, Rich, where there was those groups of people going out of their way to find anything to do with guns on Facebook, and they were mass flagging it to Facebook that this page just say it has stuff to do with guns, they're selling guns. There was any excuse to them, purposefully going out of their way to try and get pages shut down.
No, I don't remember it, but it sounds like extremism in the same way as animal rights activists who just, break into a laboratory which is experimenting on embryos, basically. Okay, I'm being pedantic, but that's there are people out there, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. I remember that happening. It wasn't that long ago when they literally they had their own page and then they were buzzing. Oh, I've had another so many sites closed.
Yeah,
they used to brag about having.
I've just had a page with 3,000 members shut down. Oh, aren't I a good boy? Give us a little round of applause. No, you've just shut down a sporting page. It's like, it's.
I mean the prime example of that sort of thing was the Jonathan Ross and what's his name on BBC.
Oh, you're
Russell Brand.
Yeah,
there was something like 100. There was something like it was something like 2,000 people were listening to the broadcast, but 2.3 million people complained because it offended them.
Yeah.
How can it have offended you when you weren't listening to it?
Well, this is the
society
thing.
now.
It's because one person hears about it and then goes, have you heard this? Isn't this offensive? And then they shove it under another person's nose to make them offended so that they'll then complain. And this has happened with numerous things. Where, like I said, say for example, the Count Dankula thing. The Count Dankula thing, where a YouTuber called Count Dankula, he got his dog to say he got his pug to do the Roman salute and to every time he said something that was deemed offensive. He shared that. He only ever shared it for his mates to see it, but it went viral. He was then arrested because he might offend somebody, and it went from there. He got done. He got sentenced to time. He could have potentially gotten a year in jail, and was halfway through his court case that actually the prosecution were demanding a longer sentence than the maximum sentence by trying to change what they were actually trying to prosecute him for in the process because he offended somebody.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for every paintballer to try and educate the people around them.
Yeah.
I remember once speaking to a client and said, "Oh, are you doing anything, this weekend?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to a paintball event." And the client's response was, "Oh, join the army."
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hang on a second. And interestingly, that person preferred to live in ignorance than let me explain.
Yeah.
That paintball is very different to a career in the army.
Yeah.
That they were not related at all.
Yeah.
And the numbers would be further apart, really.
Dishing out flyers, that's one of the two sort of stock responses that you get when you go, "Oh, can I interest you in paintball, sir?" And say you get, "Oh, I did the real thing. I served in the army." It's like, right. Do you play Call of Duty? How many people play on the Xbox when they might have served in the army? But say we've got a lot of squaddies who play paintball, but they don't play it because they want to be realistic. They play it because it's just a sport where you get to run around and have fun. You get to play like soldiers or cops and robbers or whatever you like.
You get an adrenaline rush.
Yeah. But yes, that's one of the stock responses. The other one is, "Oh no, it hurts." It's like, well, I can't really deny that, but it's not exactly like you're getting your arm blown off or something. But yeah, it's funny the way that people respond, but I do think we need to as a community find a way that we can kind of try and take paintball to the masses without them thinking that it is just stag do's and it's not just people wanting to be soldiers in the woods. Yeah, you might have some people that do wear military sort of gear and things like that.
I was going to say, don't show a magfed then.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They'll see magfed and think, "Oh, well, that's all our paintball is."
That's all the paintball is.
Yeah, or they'll see a rental day and think, "Oh, that's all our paintball is," and say, "No, there's a lot more to it than that." You've got in what talking about this right at the beginning of the show. that there is so many different factions to paintball. Like, you can choose to take part in any one of those.
Well, I'm potentially going to be controversial here. I don't think the industry, and who am I? I'm a freshman in the industry, but I don't think historically the industry has helped itself. The way that paintball is sold. I mean, if you the classic Delta Force model is corner somebody in a shopping mall, sell them 10 cheap tickets, get them onto the site, then kind of fleece them and say, hey, well, that's just get you in the door. Now we're going to need more money from you. So already it's a double glazing conman sales pitch, frankly. And then Delta Force themselves are not. And look, they've been successful historically. I'm led to believe that they have had some issues financially, but in the recent past. But then the model is effectively they're not really looking for people to become involved in paintball any more than the half day or the 1 day that they're there. And
it's a bit along the lines of like go-kart tracks. They're not expecting people to be Formula One drivers, are they?
No, and yet that's a business model that's followed not just by Delta Force but throughout the industry.
Yes,
I mean Airsoft, in contrast, in a short space of time, a very short space of time, has come out of frankly obscurity and dwarfs paintball.
Yes,
and I've had conversations
definitely
about this, and really the reason for that has been accessibility. The way that Airsoft is sold versus the way that paintball is sold. A lot of people will say it's about cost, and I disagree with that, because when people are really passionate about something, they'll spend the money. Look, I'm into mountain biking, right? Okay, and some of these mountain bikes now. They're turning bikes out that cost $6,000-7,000.
Yeah, I was going to say you can get a family car for the price of something.
I know. I mean, you don't have to spend that money, and the same is true in paintball.
But
you don't have to spend.
I didn't know you were into mountain bikes as well, Rich.
You want to follow my other YouTube channel? It's a super successful one. That's got 1.5 million followers on it. No, not really. I'm joking.
And I will follow it.
No, I don't have another YouTube channel.
Rich, do you use Strava?
Yes and no. I complained earlier about EE doesn't work in my neighborhood. I turn Strava on, go for a ride, and it says you've gone 3 miles. Oh, I fucking haven't. You've gone to the road and back. I've got a bit further than that.
Laugh at this one, Rich. I actually have a ride on my Strava.
Yeah.
And I have an average, and bear in mind I was on my mountain bike at all times, but I have an average speed of 271 miles an hour.
Right.
Basically, what had happened was I'd got my phone set up in like battery saver mode, so it turned off the GPS.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The screen was locked. So I've looked at my phone.
Yeah.
And it's sort of gone, all right, this is where you are. Locked the screen, put it in my bag, set off, tootled off and everything. Then got to another point, opened my phone to look at it, and they gone, like, you hear that again? It's like a dead straight line across Rosebery Topping, all the way across, and I've averaged 271 miles an hour in my split second where the GPS has gone through. Right, you're here when you set off, and now you're here.
That's some good going.
Yeah.
But I mean, Airsoft is sold differently. It's much more accessible, and I've had this conversation with Paul from OMG, and we've reached the conclusion it's not cost, it is genuinely accessibility. It's easy to get hold of a pistol or a rifle or something like that, as long as you don't mind it in a bright color, and then there are loads of places that you can just rock up to at the weekend and just buy some BBs and play.
I agree and disagree with that. I agree in the sense of someone starting out, but I would say the main draw for people who move away from paintball and into airsoft is price. Because that is the main draw for me, is the fact that I can go down and spend 20 quid on my walk-on fee at airsoft, and I can have bought a pack of 5,000 BBs that will last me 3 game days for a tenner. So it's costing me, like, in effect, 25 quid at most for a day's airsofting. Whereas a day paintball is going to cost me 20 quid plus my paint, possibly plus another box of paint.
You see,
you're talking 50 quid before you've even started.
But then I'd argue, right? Okay, I mean, in the neighbourhood I'm in, yeah, okay, there are a lot of people who are into horses, equestrian, basically.
Oh, that is far more expensive.
That's just another price level again. How anyone affords it, I don't know. But there's plenty of people in this neighbourhood who are into that. And what I'm saying is, I think when people are really passionate about what it is they want to do, money doesn't really come into it. It's more about how easy it's to get into, how easy is it to be involved, to participate.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I genuinely, I love my paintball. I never totally change over. If 1 month we've had a bill and I can't afford to go and play paintball, but I can still afford to play airsoft, I'll go down and play airsoft instead for that month, because I still get a little bit of the adrenaline buzz from running around getting shot at and shooting at people. But it's not got the massive cost involved that I would normally have.
I understand what you're saying, and if it meets the requirements, that's fine. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who move from paintball to airsoft, it is that reason. It's a case of they still enjoy going around shooting people and being shot at, but it just makes it that little bit cheaper. Whereas I totally agree with you from the standpoint of someone who's new to it, and it is easier accessible. And the other reason is, and I've said this in a post on an airsoft group when there was a question asked of what made you choose airsoft over paintball. Bearing in mind this is in an airsoft group, there is a fundamental flaw in the way in which most people are introduced to paintball.
Yes.
99% of people who play paintball, they'll hire equipment and they will play. But they're never told anything by the site or by anyone there, anything more than that. Most people don't know there's anything more than going down to a paintball site, and then play it.
Yeah, and actually that's exactly what I'm saying. The industry
soft sites, 90% of airsoft sites, in my experience and from what I've been told by other people who play airsoft, is if you want to go and rent equipment and play airsoft, you go and rent equipment and you play with everyone else who's got their own.
Yeah. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying the industry, the paintball industry, has historically, what they've done is they started by doing team building exercises and stag do's and birthday parties, and they continue to do that. I remember the first time that I actually tried paintball. It was actually Tesco vouchers, and I was thrown in. Yeah, it was exchanged Tesco vouchers for a day of paintball. And I didn't want to go at the weekend. I wanted to go in the weekday. It was more convenient for me.
Yeah.
So they kind of went, oh, well, we can put you in with this team building lot. It's the shop floor staff, the warehouse staff versus the office staff. And I was like, well, I don't care. Fine. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And it was the first time I'd ever tried it. And I caught the bug. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
By lunchtime, I was saying to the staff on that site, I said, is there anything more I can do? Can I own my own? Can I own my own marker? Can I buy a mask? Is there other places I can play paintball? And those people at that site, I remember to this day, actively were dissuading me from doing that, to the extent they were even telling me horror stories about the damage that a paintball could do if it had hit certain parts of your body, which I know now is a load of nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See,
yeah, I know Combat Zone, where I played normally, is like my local site. They're a bit unusual in the sense where most of their marshals and most of their staff are all current or ex-players.
There's a reason for that, though, Colin.
Because Jules, who runs the site or owns the site, played before he started the site.
Yeah,
he was part of Lincoln Storm, who was tournament team.
Yeah, and it's an independent site. That's what I was going to get at, and my mind went completely blank. Independent sites nearly always ran and marshaled by players. Chain sites will generally be
Unistat. When I marshalled, if you were playing paintball and you had to listen to my stories. You want to come and do this? You want to come and do that? I was like, you want to do this? And I've been playing here and I've played there, and you can do this. And if you want to buy your gear, Trevor.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Trevor. Yep.
Yeah. I marshalled his first ever game of paintball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the reason why him and all his sons have got all their own gear.
Yeah.
I actually borrowed them. Yeah, it's all my fault. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that, Albert, because they're cracking players. And...
Yeah, they've all joined you, lot, haven't they?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'll if you know what I mean, I'll put feelers out.
Mm-hmm.
Some sites, as Dexter says, independent sites tend to allow players to progress. If someone says, "Hey, I want to do this more. I want to own my own equipment, and is there something more I can do?" Independent sites do tend to kind of sort of say, "Yeah." I mean, good example. You go to Mayhem Essex. There's a shop where the punters, keep their keys and pick up their paint. There are markers all on the wall with prices on them and masks and cabinets and what have you. So there's clearly something beyond just the Punters Day. Go to a Delta Force site in comparison.
Yeah.
See, I've never ever been.
If you go to a Delta Force site, it's literally like a container in the woods with a counter and prices for the price of 100 paintballs, 50 paintballs, 300 paintballs, and the massive value pack, 1,000 paintballs for like 80 quid or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then there's on the other side, there's a pyro, and you must be 18 and plus. And there's no hint that there's something beyond.
Yeah.
That there's a larger world. And what I'm saying is that paintball, UK paintball, it feels very niche and quite small. And I'm saying that I think the industry as a whole has worked very hard with this typical punters. It's either stag do's and birthday parties.
They make more money off punters than they do off a walk-on.
Yeah, and you know what? Punters are important because without
you'll not have your paintball sites.
No, that's right. You wouldn't have your So I'm not actually knocking it, but that's actually what I am is envious of the airsoft community, which is
because the thing with airsoft is if you go and hire equipment, you hire something that is just as capable, if not more capable, than some of the guns that the people who've got their own are hiring.
Yeah,
do the same fire rates and everything. Someone will look after them, and when you go and play airsoft, you get thrown straight in with people who play all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas normal punter site, you tend not to get thrown in with anyone else.
No.
You are punters, and that is it. And I mean, like I was saying, Combat Zone's a bit of an unusual one. I like you say, with it being an independent site, but it wasn't the site itself when I was starting that pushed me into looking for paintball beyond punter stuff. I mean, I genuinely didn't know. I'd been playing for probably a good year before I'd been told anything about games other than playing with punters.
Yeah.
And that was partly my fault. I didn't ask anyone about it.
Yeah.
But it was one of the marshals who I'm still good friends with to this day. And he was my best man at my wedding, or one of the best men at my wedding.
Yeah, you had about 7, didn't you?
And I had 3. I had 3 best men at my wedding.
Sorry to be a party pooper, but I've got work in the morning. I'm
yeah.
Go.
Yeah, no
See you
worries,
later,
Albert.
guys.
Catch you later, man. Thanks very much. Yes, bye-bye, Purple Albert. Catch you later, man. But yeah, this is
it was him approaching me and saying, "Look, you want to try looking up this?" And it was North v South.
Yeah.
Was my first game. I think it was 2010.
Yeah.
I think my first big game. My first experience of any kind of big game, and it was just like a massive eye opener.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I had a terrible game because of my own stupid decisions of heavier spring in my Tipman Sierra 1 and hammerhead barrel, and then also trying to put tournament paint through it.
Yeah. It's things that you learn as you're going on.
I had an absolutely incredible time. I mean, I didn't do any good playing, but I had an incredible time, and my next game after that was Mayhem.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the thing. That was Mayhem big game that totally cemented to me is like kind of, I really want to get into this. This is brilliant. And then I did Stargate, and again was just, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Back when you had hair, Colin.
Yeah, that was back when I had hair.
You had more hair than me. In fact, you've overtaken me.
Yeah.
I've still got some.
To be fair, I'm helping mine along every few days. I do get the bic out, and
yeah.
I think we're pretty similar to be fair, Rich. It's just I help the rest of it along.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've even emulated you with the.
Yeah, I know. I'm setting a trend.
Yeah.
This is my paintball persona.
Yeah.
Just wear
putting on your costume.
Yeah, I just wear this for paintball.
Yeah. But if we're going down the route of the sort of like how you got into paintball, I think mine's probably kind of like, I would say a bit different to the way most people go into paintball. It's my first experience with paintball wasn't even me playing. It was as a I had a few cousins that were like the same sort of age as me. There was one who was like the same age, one who was a year older, and one who was a year younger. And my granddad took me, and they were like second cousins or something. My granddad and their granddad were up to the woods to this farmer's land where we used to run around and play soldiers, and we're probably like 6 or 7 or something. And we'd run around up there shooting toy guns at each other, and because there was like a whole load of like forts and stuff that had been built, and there was all these little balls on the ground that were full of like goo and stuff, and we used to like squirt them at each other and stuff as well. And it was good fun. And there was a couple of times where we went up for to go play, and we were told, "Oh, well, you can't come on. There's people shooting each other. Like big boys playing." Like, all right. And then that was. I was aware of it, and as I got a little bit older, I asked about it again, and I was told, it was paintball, but it was like, there was apparently what my granddad said, one of the lads that was playing, that they kind of pulled his pants down a bit to show him one of the hits on his leg, and it was oozing blood and stuff. And then as I got a bit older, I can remember being told by my granddad about one of his mates' grandson. He was a few years older than me, and he'd apparently been shot in the nads, and it had brought on testicular cancer. And basically the lad had to have a knacker removed because of that. And it was like, all right. And then I got to about 15 or something. I went and played my first time at a Delta Force site. And I think I had a cup in for about the first 10 minutes of the first game I played, because I was worried about getting testicular cancer from being shot. And it was so uncomfortable, I pulled it out and went, I'll take the risk. And just and that was the first time I actually played paintball. But I'd sort of been aware of it for years before that. And and that was basically it for me. I played my first game with my own gear in around about, well, it was Christmas 2007. Never played.
Yeah, so you've been playing
as much as I can since. It can't be that much longer.
I think I first played paintball when I was able to drive. So I think I was 18.
I would have been, yeah.
I would have been 18 because I was able to drive to site on my own. I only passed my test just before long before 18.
Yeah, that was it. I drove down. It was for YPC Christmas Bash. It was the first 2007. It was the first time I played with my own gear, and I drove all the way down to York for to go take part in a walk on. I didn't even know what I was doing or going down there for or anything. I thought, I'm going.
Both feet in the deep end.
Yeah. I'd found the Talk Paintball forum, and I'd been talking to people in there for a while, and I was full of shit when I first started. Not that I'm any different now, really. And I just went, yeah, I'm going down. I'm going to go and take part. And I called into the shop beforehand. I got a few bits that I needed, and then went and played. Yeah, it was great.
You can't have been that bad because they didn't put you in charge of the faction for the mods game.
Yeah,
like a certain Mr. Beano.
Well, I progressed quite quickly. So after that day's paintballing with warehouse people and office people, 6 weeks later, I was at the Titman Challenge game at Hombush Paintball.
Yeah.
And I went to that. Hadn't bought a ticket, but I went because my understanding was there were going to be several retailers there.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple of hours there and just went through round the stands and ended up coming away with an E-Tech 3 fiber tank, die rotor, which I still own to this day, same die rotor.
Yeah.
The fiber tank was too big, I got rid of that, and I subsequently sold the E-Tech 3. But only a few years ago I sold off the E-Tech 3. It was a reliable marker. I did my research and just worked out, that's where I was going to get the best price. So my first marker was an E-Tech 3 die rotor and a fiber tank. Thank you very much.
I started very differently to that because mine was a BT4 Delta Elite,
right?
A steel tank, or alloy tank, and it had a rip clip on it when I got it, so I didn't need a hopper.
Yeah.
Electrified mechanical.
Yeah.
Well, I just worked out firepower. Simple as that. What's got great firepower that's affordable?
Yeah.
There you go. So,
that's it. The E-Tech 3 was a good choice for that.
Yeah. Cracking.
You were a Planet fan from the start.
Well, it was either that or I was looking at, I can't remember, something else, and every retailer I talked to said spend the extra 50 quid and get the E-Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone said get the E-Tech, get the E-Tech, get the E-Tech.
Probably something like a Mini.
Could have been, yeah.
I know when I first started, Minis was very hit.
No, it wasn't a Mini. It might have been something from Dye, or it was like a Proto Rail or something like that.
It'll be like a PM or something.
Yeah.
Or PMR or something like that.
Something like that, basically. And I said, no, the E-Tech, for 50 quid more, get the E-Tech.
Yeah.
I started electrified blowbacks, and then I got my Cyborg, and then from there, so I got my Cyborg off Willie, and I picked it up at the fateful
Battle of Britain.
Battle of Britain, yes.
That never happened. That was a disaster.
Yeah. It was that Gommy floated out of his tent on his mate's inflatable head.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Let's not go there.
Thankfully, I was in a hotel for that one.
We were all in hotels by the end of it.
Well,
To be fair, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there is actually photos online, but me and the rest of the lads from Nest, we bought a gazebo for that weekend, and the only time we put it up was in the hotel room.
Oh, really?
We'll put it up in the hotel room so that we could like see how easy it was to put it up, and then we just dismantled it and never used it because we turned up at the site on the Saturday morning. It might have been the Sunday morning, Saturday morning. I'm not sure.
It happened on Saturday, and it was very windy. And then it started raining the end of Saturday.
Yeah, and then the wind even more.
Yeah. So it would have been the Sunday morning. Yeah,
it would have been Sunday morning. That's when the campsite was under about a foot of water.
Yeah, the game was called off, and
I'm going to make Paul Cross feel even older because he's just put a thing in the chat saying he's feeling very old here. Starting in 1997 with First Michael as an Automag. I would have been. I wasn't old enough to play at that point.
Was that 1997? So I would have been 9.
God, Rich, how old would you have been?
I'm older than you lot.
You're not that much older, though, are you sure?
Oh, go on, let's play this game then. Go on. How young am I?
He's certainly not
share how old I am now.
Yet, surely.
Hey? Sorry?
You can't be 40 yet.
Okay, have another guess. Higher.
Really?
Genuinely? Genuinely.
My first guess was going to be about 35.
I was going to say like mid-30s, like mid to late 30s.
Okay.
You know, you only deliver to your house.
Pardon?
Your paper round, you only deliver to your own house. You can't have had a bad one.
I don't understand the statement.
Well, normally people say they had a bad paper round when they look older than they are. You're the exact opposite.
Oh, right. You're saying I had a good paper round.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Literally, you only had one paper to deliver and it was your own.
No, I used to do the freebie paper. It was almost 200 between a Friday and a Saturday morning.
I had to do one of them as well.
God, it was hard work. I did that for 2 years.
Well, mine was easy until I had to deliver the IKEA catalogues. But go on then, how old are you?
Okay, go on. 2 more guesses.
43 then?
Yeah, and again.
Higher? Higher.
45.
46, 47 this year.
Gee,
I thought that.
I genuinely didn't think you were anywhere near that old.
There you go. I always like that question because no one ever thinks I'm as old as I actually am.
You're very lucky.
Yeah.
Say drinking fags. That's my advice.
It's what?
The drinking fags. That's my advice.
Champion, yeah.
The drinking fags. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Richie Wong in the chat, 52.
Who?
Richie Wong.
Yeah, Richie's just a shit though, isn't he?
Or is 52 Richie's age?
Oof.
It's his IQ.
Or active hair follicles.
How well, lads? Can't. They can't burn them that bad.
Burn them my age.
Yeah. So you would have been easily old enough to play in '97 then.
So I took a long time to get round to actually playing paintball. I went back when I was at college and I was 19. I wanted to do paintball, but and it was very different then. That's back when paintball markers looked like they were made out of plumber's pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they came in different anodized colours, silver, red or blue. That's it, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was...
Yeah, it's those bits of plumber's pipe that everybody seems to want now.
Yeah.
Well, classics, aren't they?
Yeah.
Classics. So, it took me a long time to get round to to actually playing paintball. When I did actually finally play, I got the bug. I mean, what, a year after playing, or a year and a half after playing, I was faction leader at Stargate.
Yes.
On the blue side. Yeah.
So you were only like a year and a half before you sort of Tornado and
no, Tornado came later. No. So
was
I thought you
faction.
Faction leader as leader of Tornado as well.
So so actually, well, let's not really get too much into the timeline, but there was Stargate. There was actually Sennybridge, second year of Sennybridge, and then 4 weeks later was Stargate.
The Tipman Challenge at Stargate at Sennybridge, was that?
Yes. Yeah.
Was that
I did
2011?
I don't remember actually. I honestly
think
don't remember.
That was 2 or 3 years after I started.
Right, and then I kind of recognised that Shoreline were going wrong really in their approach to players. I think. So I made my mind up that Stargate would be my last game. In fact, I made my mind up at Sennybridge, the second year of Sennybridge, that Sennybridge game that was 4 weeks before. I thought this, wasn't very well run. It was pretty poor. There was a lack of focus on customers and evidently a focus on selling tickets. And so I said, I'll do the Sennybridge game because I'd agreed to be a faction leader at it. And
Rich? No, go on, sorry.
Yeah, I knew by Stargate that was my last game, so that was my last Shoreline game. And and then from there, I then discovered things like North, East, South, and other stuff, basically, other paintball, really.
North, East, South, Mayhem.
Yes, yeah. A lot of that sort of good sort of stuff. Mayhem, big game. And then it was at North, East, South that I broke my leg.
Yeah, I can remember that.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember that.
Well, that's why I'm a photographer. I'm not really a player anymore for anyone that's left watching. So it's because I broke my leg so badly that my way of staying around paintball was, and by that point, you're right. By that point, I'd helped start Team Tornado with some other players who are still in the team today. Aaron, Vincent,
good to know.
Luke, yeah. So the core of Tornado still exists from back then. But I mean, I think it's fair to say that those of us that have been around longer, probably than 3 or 4 years, I would imagine stay partly for the friendships, not just not just the paintball. It's the friendships really. Anyway, let's not talk about me.
You are the guest, so we're
yeah,
talk about
photography seemed like a good idea at the time. Photography seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, I genuinely don't remember you breaking your leg.
I
don't think we knew each other that well or we couldn't have known each other that well at that point.
No, we didn't. No, you and I didn't. But Dexter and I and Richie Wong, we knew each other from Stargate.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know Dexter, but I knew of Dexter from Stargate because he did Tactical Seagull and all the.
Stargate was a good game back then. It was a good game. I don't know.
It's a shame. It doesn't happen anymore because that site was incredible. It was a very work site because you were going through brambles and all.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
If you were willing to put the effort in to go round and go the long way round or go through all the brambles, it paid off.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, Colin. Can you remember? I think it was probably the last one we played, where me and you were kind of just went off by ourselves, and we tried to do that. And we spent ages walking through the woods by ourselves, got so far down the other side of the field, and you got took out from somewhere, and then I got a shot right in the back of the centre of my neck. and it was just this one guy just had appeared out of the bushes. God knows where he was.
Yeah, we'd spent about half an hour just trying to get round the side, and someone had obviously on the other team had exactly the same idea.
The thing is, though, we would have had to have walked past each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But actually, here's an interesting point. If you look back to what Shoreline was doing then, do you remember that in a Shoreline game, the big battle was on a Sunday, and the last hour was always like a massive... They almost stopped the game and reset it for like a big battle.
Yeah.
And people would be planning to shoot 2,000 or maybe even as many as 4,000 balls in that hour.
Yeah.
And everything, and actually this lends itself to what I was talking about, the industry in terms of the way that it steered itself.
Yeah.
There's an example where people go, "Oh, paintball's expensive because you have to use so many paintballs." I remember a member of Team Tornado who he's kind of still with us. He's going to come back out with us again, James Waller. I remember, I think it was for... It might have been for that game. He was planning on shooting 9 boxes of paint over the weekend.
Yeah.
I think he got through 7 and went, "I'll take the other 2 home."
Yeah.
Use them on my local site. But he wasn't abnormal. There were people shooting huge amounts of paint, and it was almost encouraged. And of course, what are they making the money on? They're making the money on the paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the vendors that were making the money on the paint, and then they upset all the vendors, so the vendors didn't come. So then they were making money on the paint because they were the only ones selling paint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I mean about I saw the writing on the wall for Shoreline because they lost.
I mean, Stargate, or it was a Stargate. I don't know if you can remember. You'll remember it. I think it was Stargate versus Rome.
Yeah, that was the one where John from Nest was a general. Was that the same one that you generaled, Rich?
Because I was on the. Because I was on the. I can't remember what the Guns for Hire with Batmoji.
Yes.
And that is the paint. That is the single game where I have shot the most paint I have ever shot. In a day, and I went through 6 boxes.
Yeah.
Because when we went out as Guns for Hire, I was carrying a full box at a time.
You had God mode, and I had the Mad Dogs UK as my elite. I basically said, right, you guys are my elite. I use them as a strike force. And when the Guns for Hire kept on coming out, it was annoying the hell out of me as a faction leader. So I think kept on being supplanted by Romans in the middle. There's a middle Stargate, the middle actual Stargate in the middle, that middle flag. And I think about the 5th time they did that, we kept on winning it back from the red team. And the 5th time it was done, I basically said to the Mad Dogs, I said, okay, God mode, right, means if they're shot, they don't have to go out. But no one says you can't keep shooting them.
Yep.
So just keep shooting them. And I know that
it didn't really work on most of us.
No, some
did. I know.
Pulled out. Somebody pulled out. Just hammered the paint down. Hammered the paint.
Literally, we had. I think it was when we went in. We had 60 seconds of God mode.
That's right.
And then after that, it was you shot, you're out. And we had a actual Withers that at the end of the 60 seconds, he called the end of the 60 seconds, and that was I mean, and when I went in, I know a lot of the others didn't do the same as me, but I know when I went in, I just stood out in the open and just kept shooting. If anything moved, I shot at it.
Yeah.
I just kept podding up. I think I was carrying I think it worked out that it was into about 16 or 17 pots. It was a full box potted up. And I was running.
But that's what Shoreline games were all about, was shooting lots and lots and lots of paint. Now, I come forward to 2019, I look at OMG, right? Okay. And players buy a bag of 500 and they take half of it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, anything moves, shoot at it. And it's only when he called, then the marshal called God mode over or whatever he shouted, that was when I took cover.
Yeah.
But by the that point, I'd got like a pot left.
Yeah.
Because it was constant fire. I mean, I'd got a twin bottle set up.
Yeah.
GO2 on a T-stock with a rotor on top of it, and I was just rinse, anything move, just keep moving, like walking forwards. It was like Terminator walking down the street type setup. I mean, I know a lot of the others, they were like still tucking in behind cover and laying paint down, but my vest was that thick and there was that many pots on it. Anything that hit the vest, I didn't feel anyway.
Yeah.
So I could just stand and take it in the middle of it all.
Yeah. But and it
changed my tactics. I learned that was too expensive to maintain.
See, I've actually started to use that tactic more, except for I just don't actually shoot.
Just stand in the middle and take it all.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had game. I mean, tactics like that do work. I mean, we've had games down at Combat Zone for walk-ons, and there is the typical attack defend game on a building structure, the hillbilly house as we know it. And I've literally put my gun down, or marker, or whatever you want to call it, put it down, and at Game On struck up 2 Enola Gay smoke grenades. And just run round the outside of the building, the other side of the rhododendrons, with these smoke grenades going off in my hand.
Yeah.
And all they were bothered about was shooting at me.
Yeah.
When I wasn't shooting back at all. So they're all turning around trying to shoot me, and everyone else on my team was approaching them from when they were looking at the back of them.
Yeah.
So, and within a few minutes, before the grenades had stopped smoking, we'd won the game. It's like, well, they're too busy shooting an unarmed target.
The distraction, yeah. That was basically
standing and screaming in the middle. Everyone's shooting at you, thinking, "Oh, look at that idiot!"
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Hang on a minute, they've just moved up 10 meters or 3 bunkers or whatever," and it's like, "Oh."
Yeah. That was basically the origin of the tactical seagull.
Tactical seagull.
Yeah. Stand in the open and dance.
The tactical seagull. It is a majestic piece of art.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's a mad ginger idiot jumping around, flailing his arms about.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah,
Question. I'm just looking at the time. What time does this live feed finish?
To be fair, it probably should have finished like an hour ago.
Right.
When we've had enough.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, gentlemen, it is now 12 o'clock, and I do actually have work tomorrow.
Yeah,
so,
so do I.
Yeah, right. I think we'll stop the broadcast here then. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Does anybody have any final words that they'd like to say?
Yeah, what's Rich's website again?
Yeah, please plug it.
BattleGearUK.com.
Champion.
Yeah, go and buy some stuff off him.
Yes.
He's very
if you're into MagFed, if you're into
MagFed,
come to BattleGearUK.com.
Yeah.
The only official First Strike service centre in the UK and one of only 2 in Europe. There you go.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll bear that in mind if I get into mind some First Strike.
If you get First Strike marker.
Service First Strike paintballs.
First Strike markers.
If I bring you a First Strike round that's been broken, can you repair it?
We'll certainly have a go for you, but in extreme cases, we'll generally have to replace it.
Right.
That's it. So now that's a bit of a giveaway for everyone who plays MagFed. Go around picking all the carcasses of First Strikes up, take them back to Rich, and he'll give you new ones.
Yeah. He didn't say for free though.
I need to receive receipts.
Yeah. Right. So cool. I think we'll end the broadcast yet, but thank you very much for joining us, guys. Thank you very much, Rich, for joining us. It's
pleasure.
Been a pleasure
having me.
And as always, guys, I'm just waffling on here a little bit. Just make sure that people know that we are ending, because apparently I always end the streams too soon. So thank you very much once again, everybody, and we shall see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.